Ireland is known for its folklore.
Fuck you, I'm drunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Pour my beer down the sink. I've got more in the trunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk. And I'm going to be drunk till the next time I'm drunk.
Three cinephiles have come together to bring you strong opinions, controversial statements, epic battles, and plenty of fun. Introducing our host, the man who watches 52 movies a week, drinks 52 beers a movie, loves women but hates the woman, from the foreign land of Canada, our host, Mood 616. He is widely known as the man who talks too much. His worst enemies are Postmaster P and Pee Wee Herman. He said Hellraiser was overrated and Leprechaun Origins wouldn't suck. He's the full-blooded half-Mexican, JP. Finally, we have the man who doesn't talk enough. He is best friends with Sean S. Cunningham. His favorite horror movie is Gummo. He is your favorite Jew and mine, Jeremy. Together they are known for extending a helping hand to vampircons everywhere. They are the 22 shots of moods and horror.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 131 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast is coming at you live. I am your host, the ill-mented funky child, also known as Moods. Yeah. And in the house tonight, we have the man who hates Japanese horror films, eggs, and to laugh, Double Shot J, aka JP.
All of those are true.
And making his who fucking knows what appearance on the show, we have the man who likes to pick fights with boiling hot soup and loses, the man with the phantom girlfriend, the Boston cream pie himself, aka the Boston Brando, Derek here. Fuck, I started to laugh. I don't know what it is about the Boston cream pie donut that makes me laugh, man.
Aaron Go Bragg.
It's just so
I feel like I'm going to guess and say 13th appearance.
It's up there, man.
It's the 13th or 14th.
Yeah, man. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. I lose track. I lose track, man. That's like regular host shit right there. That's a good percentage.
We've been bi-weekly for a while now, but I think going forward, starting this week, we should be at least here for the next couple weeks.
Yes.
So yeah, I think next week our show's kind of up in the air what we're doing, because based on like if you get The Strangers, which I don't think you will, so we might return to that Eli Roth spotlight idea that we want to do.
Promising whatsoever at this moment. I don't know. I was, you know, I didn't even think we were going to get Death Wish, but it showed up last minute, and I was like, okay, that's a good sign. But The Strangers, I don't know. Just doesn't seem like a title.
Which is fine because we did promise that Eli Roth Spotlight 2 Part 2 type thing that we were going to do. So that's fine. It's a good time to do that. And then also I did want to just throw this out there. So how about this? It is our first ever St. Patrick's Day special.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is, man, Irish flicks.
We've never had a St. Patrick's Day special before.
No,
Even our Leprechaun show that we did wasn't in March.
No, it wasn't. It was very, very random.
Sounds like a Scream Factory type of deal.
But this is, actually, something I've been wanting to do for a long time, so it came in perfect timing. We know that there's not, like, a massive list of Irish flicks, but I think the ones that we got lined up today were good picks,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. But what is with that? Why didn't the Irish make films until recently? What the fuck is the deal with that?
I have no idea, man. Like I like the culture in Ireland, and I like the the people. Like I like, obviously I'm a huge Conor McGregor fan, but I think that it's weird that they don't have such a huge standing point in film.
I know, it's really
at least in horror.
I mean,
in horror, yeah.
Rawhead Rex is like an early one, later 80s type thing, and then
maybe that's why.
Maybe that's what it was. Like, oh, we made Rawhead Rex, man. We suck at making horror films. But I mean, really, in like the last 30 years, there's only been like over a dozen. It's crazy. I don't know if they have like a government funded program thing kind of there. You know, like, you know, people have always wondered why there's not that many horror films that were made out of like New Zealand and stuff, because they were all funded through the government and shit. Maybe maybe Ireland has a program like that. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. But they just don't make a lot of films. But when they do make films, they're pretty quality. It's kind of like New Zealand, right? Every time they drop a film, it seems to be pretty damn quality. So that's cool.
Yeah, so this episode was picked by a handful of our Patreon supporters, Derek being one of them, correct?
It was.
Which film did you actually pick?
I believe it will be the first film that we review tonight, Isolation.
Okay, and I believe who was the other supporter? Sam?
Sam and James Cowks.
And which one did Sam pick?
Byzantium.
Byzantium, and then James picked he picked the Canal. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool, because I was wondering, I didn't know where these had come from. But all three first-time watches for me, I was pretty excited about that. Another thing that I do just want to throw out there real quick, since we've recorded, I've actually done a few guest spots, and I wanted to show love to those shows. First up is Kill the Cast, KFC. They did a creature feature commentary on the film Anaconda from 1997, and I joined them for that. It was pretty fun. I haven't seen that film in a long time. It was one of those movies where, like, I actually really like Anaconda, so it was kind of hard to talk about because I hadn't seen it in so long, and I just wanted to watch it. So we were doing a commentary on a movie that we were like kind of like all like felt like watching at that moment. So it was kind of a weird thing, but we were kind of funny in it too. And then I did a guest appearance on the Woodsboro Bros. They did a underrated show where 4 hosts, Carly also guested on there, picked an underrated film, and then we had 4 reviews, and that was a blast. I had a lot of fun with that. It was a good show.
I actually listened to it. It was a really good show, especially that last review was making me laugh.
Yeah, and I feel like I absolutely killed it on Bedeviled, which was the underrated film I picked. And I think that I did a great job reviewing it. So if you want to hear about some underrated films and then a not underrated one, listen to that show. Carly picked Excision, which was the first time I ever watched that. That was really exciting. And Austin picked an Irish film, actually, and that's From the Dark. And then Andrew picked Phantoms.
Oh, what a surprise.
Which, by the
Floating
way,
heads.
sucks.
Yeah, Phantoms.
So we might, I don't know, we haven't talked about it, but we might invite Andrew on next, not next show, but the show after that, as he actually picked the theme, and I want to hear him talk about them.
I thought that the theme of the show was underrated. Why the fuck did he pick Phantoms?
Because he thinks it's underrated.
He likes that film?
Yeah,
actually, it's actually funny in the show. Without giving too much away, he's like, "It's my least favorite of this era." I'm like, and JP's like, "Why the fuck did you pick it then?"
Well, I guess,
but it's funny because he's like, he starts going into this metaphor about how like he loves Doritos, and like all these different flavored Doritos are like all these different floating head 90s flicks, and how like some of them are going to be lesser good flavors, but he still loves them because they're Doritos. And Austin said, well, Phantoms must be dick flavored Doritos. And it was seriously one of the funniest things I've ever heard on a podcast. It was great. He absolutely killed that joke. Like people need to listen to that show because there was a lot of funny moments in it, and I think we all were kind of bashing Andrew's pick of Phantoms, and he's like, at the end, he's like, you guys have talked me down a little bit, and it was like he went from like an 8 to a 7.5 or something.
Oh Christ.
But yeah, we're gonna do our own 90s floating head show in a couple weeks. We have not touched many 90s flicks, and we've definitely not done an episode devoted to 90s films, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'm not overly excited. One of the films I didn't even know what it was. It's crazy. I think it was The Curve or something like that. I think that was one of the ones.
Yeah, you've never seen that?
No, I'd never seen it before.
Oh, it's pretty cool, man.
With Matthew Lillard?
So that was kind of shocking.
Years since I've seen that shit.
To have a film picked that I'd never seen before. So
yeah, it's kind of more of a thriller, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's maybe why you haven't seen it. But
Yeah.
I think I actually am really excited about 2 of those movies that we're covering, and then not so much about the third one.
Well, one of them I've actually reviewed on this show.
I did know that because I remember the
96.
title saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Cool. So any other guest spots that you did? You want to let people in on?
I don't think so. I don't think I've done any other guest spots, but I've been asked a few times for some upcoming stuff. So, and I know Jeremy is going to be venturing out and doing some guest spots too.
Ironically, huh?
I can't even believe the show that he's doing. Like, it's tripping me out, man.
Yeah.
Jersey Shore Shark Attack.
Because he always talks about how much he hates shark films. Like, he loathes them. And he's doing,
I feel like he hates everything too.
But he really, really hates shark films. And I was just like, what? That's the show that you're doing? I'm like, that's fucking bizarre. Beyond bizarre.
We got some crazy stuff coming up, man. I mean, we have, dude, like, first of all, I can't wait to get out of the damn winter. I know you guys are pretty excited about that too. But once April hits, we got a whole bunch of cool stuff planned. I think we're doing the Stepfather. Well, it was going to be the trilogy, but we're going to throw the remake in there too because we're completists here. But that's pretty cool. I'm excited about that to do in April, and then of course we're going to do the 76 show in April finally.
Yes, finally.
So we got some stuff coming your way. I know that like sometimes some episodes are a little, like I Saw the Devil, great movie, doesn't translate well into an actual episode. Like, I think the days of just having a 1-film episode are kind of past. I don't think people get excited for it anymore. No.
I mean, I think the last couple episodes that we did with just one main review did really poor.
Yeah,
really poor.
They did. All of the ones we've done with one film.
It could be a combination of what they were following also, because I think that show followed the Hellraiser show.
Hellraiser, yeah.
Which was a kind of an epic show because it was so long, right? So I don't know. Maybe that off-puts people. It just doesn't look good side by side. One film versus 10. Yeah.
I threw this out. I was like, well, I guarantee if we just put another, like, say, South Korean revenge film in there, like even just Bedeviled, and we titled it South Korean Revenge, I guarantee you it would have done way better. Just because I feel like
I don't really know why we didn't do that.
I think just because we were we've watched. I think we had a ton of Patreon and what we watched since we only did 2 shows that month, and one of them was a franchise show.
Yeah, I did fucking 9 Patreon reviews that one. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy shit. But yeah, man, Derek back in the house, man.
Hell yeah!
Hasn't actually been that long. Were you just on like 5 episodes ago?
Like in December.
He was on the
Gene Roland show.
Yeah, the Gene Roland show. That was recent.
I gotta pay the guest star, I guess.
I know, that's kind of funny. I was actually joking about that too on last episode. I came to the conclusion that I'm a fucking dick, like an absolute dick, man. So you fucking bought me Kurosawa's Dreams and sent it to me out of the kindness of your heart. And then
he had to pay you to watch it.
And then you had to fucking pay me to watch it.
Actually, that was actually my free credit I used.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, by the way, people do get free credits, but if you don't claim them, I can't remember when you have them. If you tell me you have them, I could go back and check and see how many times you've done it, and I could confirm that you've had them. But I'm not, like, you have to let me know, just so everybody knows.
I'm counting my next one because JP's my next victim.
God.
Don't worry, I won't torture you. I'll say those for Jeremy.
I mean, yeah, mostly good. I mean, it's been good. I like the shit that we've been getting.
I've been really happy with all my picks, really. I usually don't love the Japanese ones just because, I don't know. I just...
See, my biggest complaint, though, with some of the picks that I get is that they're just rewatches for me. But I've heard from even guys like Mikey. Mikey's like, well, you fucking seen everything, so it's kind of hard to pick something.
If anybody wants to burn their picks in April and only give us 1976 watches, I won't be opposed to it. I'm just saying.
Again, we're doing the show. He's already forced to watch these things.
Because I've only got about 7 watches so far, and that show is quickly approaching.
I thought Jeremy was doing poor. Man, you are sucking floppy donkey dicks at this right now.
He was ahead of me. I think I just passed him up again.
Fucking watches, dude. I had like 24 or something before the new year even started.
Dude, at this rate, I could have literally did the show a month after we did the previous one because I've watched about as many movies as I would have in a month.
I'd watched quite a few because I thought we might be doing the 76 show like at the end of February kind of deal. I think that was like...
I definitely want to... That was originally, I think, the first plan.
Yeah, so I was really putting in the work, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, we're not going to do it today. So I've been not slacking, but I've been just kind of watching them very periodically. So
I'm going to try our damnedest to get a second one in the year of 2018. Because the last 2 years, we've only done one extra one retro one. I want to do 2. My goal was to always do 2 per year. And we kind of been fucking up on that a little bit. But last October brutalized us. Between October, November, December, January was the craziest time we've ever had on this show.
Yeah, the stretch of... I mean, it wasn't just the fact that we did, 15 straight shows, but it was the shows themselves. They weren't just normal shows. There was like, how many franchises in there? Yeah, we kind of burnt ourselves out a tad bit. You know, but you know, this has been good going bi-weekly, and really people haven't even really I don't know if they've noticed or they haven't said anything, but you know, like, oh, you guys are not putting out as much material as you were before. I haven't really been hearing that, so maybe people are kind of just liking the bi-weekly thing. I don't know, but
yeah, I know there was a ton of people that were like 4 or 5 episodes behind, so I mean, it gives everybody a good chance to catch up. Like, and you know, we've said that this year, during the, you know, bulk of the year, we're going to take it easy on franchise shows. You know, obviously we just did the Hellraiser show, and that's pretty much our main big one for most of the year. I would probably guess. We're going to do a 4-film with The Stepfather, and then we're actually going to do, it was voted on by you guys, but we're going to do a franchise roundup show, which we're going to pick 3 films that we previously reviewed franchises for that have had sequels since then, such as like Leprechaun Origins, Phantasm 5, and Children of the Corn: The Runaway. And I think we're shooting for April for that show, actually. So that'll be a 3-film show.
Yeah, the Children of the Corn film comes out like right away here, doesn't it? So
yeah, I think it's about to come out like soon.
Yeah, it's within like a week or 2. So
yeah, so we're going to do that. That'll probably be April, and then we actually do have another show planned for April. So we might be all booked up in April. We'll have to see.
I have to say I'm actually looking forward to that franchise roundup show because
I know
I want to talk about
man.
I want to talk about Phantasm 5, and frankly I don't know why, because I probably shouldn't be considering how lackluster the franchise really is, but I'm kind of excited for the new Children of the Corn film. I know people are laughing. People are laughing or even shutting off the podcast now. This fucking moron is excited for Children of the Corn film. But
a lot of people forget that we liked most of the Children of the Corns. There was only like 2 that we actually hated.
5 and 6.
Oh man, 5 and 6, those are brutal films. But I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with it. Like, I haven't actually read into anything about it. You know, so
I just know that it's directed by one of the Gulaggers. Am I right?
Yeah. Is it playing off the last
John
film?
Gulager?
I don't think it's playing off the last film. I think it's its own thing.
It's a sequel in name, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's directed by John Gulager, who, you know, did Feast.
Oh, is it really? Okay, so then we might actually get
it. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, man, the more franchises that we do, the more roundup shows we're going to end up having to do. I mean, we still have fucking Victor Crowley to do too, right?
Oh yeah.
So there's another one.
So maybe we'll do like Victor Crowley. We'll do Phantasm, or maybe we'll do like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But probably Victor Crowley will be there, and then, which kind of annoys me because that Hatchet show is like perfect.
Well, you know what? We might as well even wait. We can do 3 now, but then we have Halloween is coming out later this year, which that's going to be part of a roundup too.
This is just volume 1, homie.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, I mean, I don't think we really have to worry about, you know, the big franchise. We could probably just go ahead and do those fuckers, you know, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, because we ain't getting anything else. We might as well just do them.
Yeah.
I think they're dead in the water, man. So
probably. But yeah. Anyway,
it's the everlasting. It's the never-ending question. Like, you know how many fucking times a week people ask me when we're going to do those, or if we're the people are like, "Are you guys gonna do them?" Like, yeah, of course we're gonna do them. When? I don't fucking know.
Hell yeah!
Pay me, motherfucker! Pay me. Maybe we'll put it on the Patreon as like a special exclusive. $50. You paid me $50. We'll do that. No, I'm just joking.
That would be cheap, honestly.
They're big ass franchise. I mean, Friday the 13th is just monstrous, but
yeah.
But they're eventually gonna get done. So stay tuned, man.
I mean, there's still so many franchises out there: Puppet Master, Amityville, Species. I mean, Subspecies and Species.
Dude,
you know what I mean? There's so many.
It never. Well, and there's a new one. Apparently, there's a new franchise. This Robert. How many fucking movies can they make in like 2 years?
4? I think there's 4.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I'm kind of curious about those now.
Aren't they like Walmart exclusives?
I guess.
I see them all the time at Walmart, and I'm like, I thought I had just been seeing the same movie, but apparently it's been a new one every couple months.
Did they start making like what? Are they a ripoff of like Annabelle or something like that?
I think that's the thing. But actually, I think there's actually a real Robert doll like urban legend thing.
Oh, okay. Well, that actually makes sense then. But I was like shocked at how many they'd made recently. I'm like, there's 4 of those fuckers, man. Jeez, a whole other franchise just popped up. There's always the Evil Bong franchise. Oh,
yeah.
There's like a million. There's like a million of them, but
so many you guys still do.
Exorcist,
which is
Cube,
another.
Critters.
The Exorcist franchise has been asked. I've been asked about a million times too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton that we could do. Plus, dude, I still want to do like Tales from the Crypt season 2.
We should just we should just do that recently. We should do it upcoming.
Yeah,
soon.
Yeah. Well, I think we're a little booked up right now, but definitely after our.
It'll be one of those summer extravaganza ones.
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt, season Dux. All right.
Dux.
All right. Well, you know what we should do? We should get into some news. Is that what we're gonna do?
Okay. Yeah. We could do some news.
Do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
First up, got a couple of Blu-rays announced from Scream Factory. They announced Curse of the Cat People, which is the Cat People sequel from, I believe, the 40s?
Yeah,
right?
The Val Lewton one, yeah. Which I believe you guys covered the first one during a remake versus or OG versus remake.
Yeah,
show.
One of our worst shows ever in terms of popularity.
Cat People, yeah, from 1942. Yeah, I know. And that's the question got brought up last show. It's like, we don't do a lot of older shows, or a lot of films, but I think it has to do with they don't do well. I don't think
they really don't.
It's not that we don't want to do them. It's just we also want to put out content that people are interested in. I think more people are just, from 1950 up. I think anything before that seems to be, either talked to death, or just not that interesting. That's.
I think if we did it like Universal Monsters Volume 1 or something, people would be inclined to check it out. But I feel like just random. I feel like you almost have to make a theme out of it.
Well, that's I mentioned
if we did a top 10 of 1956 or something.
Yeah,
I think people would be interested. But
I think there was only 10 horror films that came out that year.
There's a few years where there's only 13. And it's these would be easy to do.
Dude, before IMDb went and fucked up their whole search engine thing, how you could click on the year and then click on horror and shit like that.
You can still do that.
Really? For some reason I can't do it. I don't know. But I think it was 1951 or something. There wasn't one horror film listed from the year. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, it was so crazy. I don't know if there is now. Maybe we're missing off there, but pretty crazy shit. But yeah, no, coming back to the theme thing, I wanted to do even going back to Val Lewton, doing a Val Lewton theme show. because the guy's
just spotlight.
because he's responsible for so many good films, and I don't think a lot of people even know the name Val Lewton. It's kind of interesting. You throw his name out there,
there's
people
definitely not a lot of people who do. You know?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And he's even got there's a good documentary about him and shit. Pretty interesting. So that'd be kind of fun to do.
Scorsese's a huge fan.
Oh, big time. Very influential, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
They also announced giant Killer Rabbit movie, Night of the Lepus, which I haven't seen.
Oh,
Amazing.
that is amazing, man. That's amazing.
But I do love my killer animals of the 70s, which going through, I'd say like probably 5 out of the 7 films that I watched from 76 are killer animal movies. So
They had some good ones.
yeah, no, they do.
Yeah.
I like them. I really do. I like killer animal movies, and the 70s did a lot of fun stuff. Last night I started watching Food of the Gods, but I fell asleep. Because that stupid time change screwed me up. Because I was like, oh, it's only 2. Oh, it's only 3. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was like 4 o'clock already, and I was like, yeah, I better go to sleep.
Yeah, actually, that's one I still need to rewatch. I haven't done the rewatch of Food of the Gods, but that's a fun movie, man. I love the effects, all the miniatures and shit. You know me and miniatures.
Yeah, I reviewed that during my first 31 Days of Horror, I believe.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah.
After that, there is a new film, Nicolas Cage horror movie called Mandy, which is acquired by RLJ Films.
Image, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
kind of. I think it's the same company, but Image doesn't. Does Image really have? I don't know. It's weird.
I think Image became RJ Entertainment, right? Or
Yeah,
whatever the fuck
I
that company-
thought it was. I'm pretty sure those releases still say Image on. I think that's a sub label of Image. That's just what they put them out under. I think that's what it is.
So it's set in 1983. Nicolas Cage plays a man named Red Miller, a broken and haunted man who hunts the unhinged religious sect who slaughtered the love of his life. Actually sounds kind of cool.
So it's Drive Angry again?
I'm not sure.
Because that's what happens in Drive Angry.
I've never seen it.
When
I do own it, though. But yeah, that's pretty interesting because Cage just did Mom and Dad, which was a horror film. So
Yeah, I was just
seems
going
like
to say
he's
that.
doing some horror, which is I've always liked Nick Cage.
Yeah, he's done a few horror films.
Well, I guess he's getting sick of doing those straight to video action thrillers and shit. He's like, well, I'm going to take a different approach here. Switch up the genres a little bit. I recently watched Nick Cage's Vengeance, because it was like a revenge film. I love those films, and it was pretty average. That's the thing, The best thing about that film, though, was Nick Cage's the dye job on his hair. It just made it look so phony. Like, oh my god, that guy's got to stop dyeing his hair, man. It looks ridiculously bad.
It was like Michael Caine on Diddley Ground Bad.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty savage, man. But no, that's cool, man. Nick Cage in horror films. I mean, if we can get some awesome performances like Vampire's Kiss, that might be the best performance of all time. I'm going on record. I'm stating it is the most over-the-top, insane performance of all time. This is a good top 10 list, or even a top 5. Most over-the-top performances of all time. Nick Cage probably has it in a few different categories or films, but in horror, that one right there.
I can name 6 Nick Cage films.
Oh, I mean, yeah, like Wild at Heart. But Vampires, it's just everything about that film, the dialogue to his expression, that ridiculous fucking accent that he has. And nobody even knows what it is. That's the thing I love about Nick Cage. He's terrible at doing accents, but he just continues to do these insanely odd accents in film. Like, this movie's set in New York, but it's not a New York accent. It's not any of the 5 boroughs' different accents or whatever. And it's like, he's not foreign. It's like a combination of this foreign accent, some weird Bronx. It's just, fuck, man. Nick Cage cracks me up, man. Best performance of all time. I don't know why I just went on a tangent about Vampire's Kiss again. But if you've never seen the film and you're listening to this right now, check it out just for the most over-the-top performance of all time.
What movie was that paired with on the Scream Factory?
Love at First Bite.
No.
High Spirits?
High Spirits, yeah.
All right.
Which honestly didn't hold up. You know, it was a film I saw growing up, and rewatching it when Scream Factory put it out, I was like, this isn't as good as I remembered it to be. You know, I kept going back to Vampire's
had a lot
Kiss.
of like production problems.
Yeah, I don't know. People still talk very highly of it, but I mean, if I'm grabbing that double feature, I'm going straight for the Nick, baby.
Well, we'll be talking about the director of that movie in a little bit.
True that.
Next up, this I thought this was pretty cool. So if you want a companion piece to our Howling episode, you can pick up The Complete History of the Howling, a new book that comes out May 12th, which is supposedly going to take an in-depth look at the entirety of the Howling franchise.
Oh,
wow.
Sweet. I hope we get some insight to parts.
I would actually like reading that, because I just want to see what the hell they were thinking with some of those films.
Oh, I think I'd skip through everything and read the information about part 7, because that's some shit right there, man. Like, I want to know why that thing was even made. It's so bad.
Well, any of those later Howling sequels are just interesting to read about. Like, how the fuck did they come up with this shit?
You know, the interesting thing about the Howling franchise is that the majority of the films are all so different, but it doesn't make them good either.
No.
It's just the ideas were always like, I mean, they have the 10 Little Indians idea. They have like the marsupials one, man. It's just fucking.
I wonder if he listened to our podcast, the guy who wrote this.
Maybe.
Because it's just looking at his Twitter, it looks like he did a bunch of research.
Oh, there we go.
Imagine you guys like are in the book somewhere.
Yeah, that would be cool.
What did I call part 7? A 90-minute country western video?
Music video.
Or whatever the fuck it was. That movie sucks. JP will still try to defend it, though.
I mean, I didn't hate it as much as you guys, but this was pretty cool. This is news here of Blumhouse, good old Blumhouse, who's probably my favorite horror film production company right now. They have unveiled a new film, a sequel that was kind of done secretly at the South by Southwest Film Festival that's going on, I believe, right now. They announced Unfriended Dark Web. So this is a sequel to the Unfriended film of 2014, which I believe we all liked. We didn't love. I think we came in about 6.5 on it. Jeremy loved it, but then he even came down a little bit.
You know, I was a little bit shocked that Blumhouse was doing a sequel to this film. Now, did Unfriended do well for them? And I mean, it obviously did well enough that they're doing a sequel to it, but I just didn't think that film had the popularity or did well enough to warrant a sequel. I was kind of shocked, considering Blumhouse doesn't really miss with a lot of their films. You know, they're very successful with, you know, their ratio from, you know, from hits to misses is pretty good. Well,
it made $64 million and it cost $1 million to make.
It made $64 million? Like total. Okay.
Yeah, total. But still, they only spent $1 million on it.
Yeah, it looks like they only spent $1 million on it. I mean, it's all done computer screens. It's not really a lot to it.
That was one of the things that I actually liked how it was done, though.
I did too. I thought the premise of the film was better than the film itself, unfortunately. Yeah. But it wasn't bad. I mean,
I very much enjoyed it. Like, I gave it a low rating because I didn't like certain things about it. But in terms of pure entertainment, I thought it was very entertaining.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely entertaining.
But I'm excited about this one because, first of all, it's getting positive reviews already. And two, I have just been really, like, interested in... I've been, like, watching a lot of top 5 videos just randomly on YouTube at night, and I was watching, like, stuff about the dark web, which, for those of you who don't know, it's, like, basically... a hidden part of the internet that you need certain programs to access, and it's mostly used for buying drugs, buying, you know, escorts and porn and stuff like that, and essentially like all kind of like illegal fraudulent stuff, buying guns, stuff like that. So, and there's a lot of crazy stories from like, because it's completely unmoderated. You know what I mean? It's a section of the internet that is completely like hidden. So that kind of is interesting that they're kind of focusing on that in this one. That sounds kind of cool. So I'm sure we'll see it probably either later this year or early next year.
Whoa! Back the fuck up here. Right to the beginning. You were watching YouTube videos?
I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately.
Wow. That's interesting because you like never watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, it's kind of been my nightly ritual lately when I should be watching 1976 movies.
Fucking slacker. That's slacker shit, man.
So yeah, after that, we have just a couple more pieces of news. Santa Clarita Diet Season 2 trailer has hit.
Oh, nice.
It's coming out this month, March 23rd, which I absolutely love the first season, so I'm excited to see where Season 2 goes. Yeah, Not many people talked about it. I loved it. It
was legitimately funny as hell. Yeah, I marathoned that shit, man. I watched the first episode and I was like, this is pretty good. So
fucking Olafin was fucking hilarious in that show.
Yeah, they so was Drew Barrymore. It was great time. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. That'll be on Netflix March 23rd, which is just a couple weeks away. So you guys should enjoy that. If you've never seen it, start binging the first season now. You won't regret it.
Definitely.
So if you guys remember a few months ago, it was reported that after, what was it, Fox? Who bought Fox? Disney? Who bought Fox? I
Disney.
don't remember. Okay. After Disney bought Fox, the film The New Mutants, which was supposed to come out in actually just a little over a month in April, got pushed back 10 months all the way till February of 2019. And everybody was kind of like, oh man, like what the hell's going on here? Well, apparently the reason that it was pushed back, after talking to one of the stars of the film, Anna Taylor-Joy, who Anna Taylor-Joy, was she in The Witch? Is that what
she
she's
was in The Witch and Split?
Yeah, Split, The Witch, becoming a little scream queen herself, said that they pushed the movie back to do reshoots, and essentially what they're going to be doing is adding a brand new character that wasn't originally in the movie.
What?
Yeah, so they must be doing a lot of reshoots, and it says also that they were pushing it back to make a lot of to amp up the terror and make it a true horror movie as originally promised by the director.
Huh.
So that sounds good to me, right? Like, okay, so let's make it dark. Like, it wasn't dark enough. We're trying to sell this as a horror film. Let's make it even darker. Because most people were thinking that it was the opposite. Like, they thought it was too dark, so they pulled it and then they're going to tone it down or whatever. But to me, it sounds like way cooler that they're making it dark.
Man, this movie,
because this was, what's that?
Yeah, this thing better do well when it gets released, because these reshoots are probably costing a shit ton of money on top of the budget that they've already spent.
Well, I mean, it is
character?
X-Men.
It is Marvel.
Yeah,
Marvel.
I
True
imagine
that.
it'll do well.
Oh, of course. Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, it is Marvel, and their movies seem to just knock shit right out the park. But who knows? Are these, the Marvel fans that are going to see these films, are they going to see a straight up horror film?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I hope this was my number 3 most anticipated film of 2018. So well, now it'll be 2019.
It definitely is.
I'm really excited to see it just because I like the idea of doing a X-Men horror movie. That just sounds cool to me.
It's definitely piqued my curiosity a little bit more if they're, putting this effort into making it a true horror film. I've never heard of a production going back and doing reshoots to add a character. They
probably had rights to another character now since.
Well, I mean, they've probably Well, I know because I believe Fox owned X-Men to begin with.
Certain characters they didn't own still too from the X-Men original.
Oh, really?
Well, because certain characters Marvel/Disney owns, and other characters. That's why you never see Wolverine and shit in the Avengers movies. Yeah,
but that's because he's in the X-Men.
Yeah, because Fox owned them, but now that they're joined, maybe there's going to be a character from the ones that they own from Disney inside this new Mutants. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I have no idea.
Huh.
We'll have to wait and see. But so moving on here, this was actually, we reported the last time we did a show that the Weinstein Company was being sold. Bloody Disgusting reported this from Deadline, actually. But apparently the deal is off. Basically, the sale that was going to happen is now no longer happening. So essentially they have to go bankrupt. I don't know how all this works, but according to Deadline, this is most likely will mean that the Weinstein Company's assets follow the patch to the 363 bankruptcy, which would wash the assets of obligations and allow about 20 other suitors to pick the company's carcass apart. This is awful news for those employed at the company, but it's actually good news for us genre fans, as many of these assets are going to be shopped around town as opposed to trapped between new investors and the Bob Weinstein-led Dimension Films. So essentially, from what I understand, is all these other companies and studios are going to have an opportunity to pick up the rights to like many of the Weinstein-owned films. So from Scream to Hellraiser to Children of the Corn, which, by the way, one thing that nobody's considering is I have a feeling that it's possible that we could start seeing Blu-ray releases of films that were originally released under that Dimension Extreme line, which have since pretty much been exclusively to DVD and never had re-releases.
That'd be cool.
So there's a lot of cool films on there that, you know, I could see companies picking up and releasing and giving special editions to.
Well, I'm already picturing now fucking Arrow's Hellraiser Scholar Box Volume 2.
Whoa.
With all those shitty fucking sequels. Well, not the shitty, like, you know, some of them are.
Well, they better make that as one big box set, not into like two more. Fuck that shit. But yeah, no, that is good thing. That's really good news, actually. If those films get shopped around and finally get
so
the
we could actually
deserve.
Finally see, you know, Hellraiser and Children of the Corn in the hands of somebody who's going to take care of them and start fresh from a new point in you know. Even though I kind of liked where the Hellraiser series was going the last time we watched one. But, you know, I think that to see a company like Blumhouse do a Hellraiser would be pretty amazing.
Hell, even A24, they could do like an art house, like Hellraiser movie. That'd be fucking...
Yeah, that would actually be really good. But, yeah, I think that this is probably going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's just endless possibilities, whoever picks up the rights to these things. And I'm sure... I hope that somebody like Blumhouse picks it up. I would love to see that. That'd be fucking great. You know?
Yeah, either Blumhouse or A24 would be perfect for to revitalize these series.
Yeah, to be honest, man, I think it's the best thing for the genre in those type of films. You know, I mean, this whole Weinstein thing is a fucking mess, but for the fans and shit of these films, I think this is the best thing ever to happen. I mean, there's endless possibilities out there now, because I don't think a lot of these franchises were going to go. I mean, who knows? The Hellraiser, the next film could have been good. Who knows? But
yeah,
depending on who picks it up, I mean, it could even be better. I think the possibilities are endless here. I can't wait to see who picks up what. This is going to be fantastic. We're going to get some films that, you know, finally getting the releases that they deserve. Maybe inside on fucking Blu-ray for once.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I mean, that is...
But if they're shopping around everything,
yeah,
it's not just the big ones that we know. I mean, we're talking vault shit here. Because let's face it, I mean, Lionsgate, they weren't releasing any of that stuff that was sitting in there. They don't give a fuck.
Oh, you mean Dimension.
Dimension. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it for the news, though.
Cool. Cool stuff. Yeah.
Good shit.
Read on. You know, honestly, man, I think that the movie that's probably going to be made within the next 5 years of the Weinstein story is going to be amazing. I can't wait to check this film out, because somebody's going to make that story, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there's so much crazy, there's so much fucking information and just crazy shit that's happened with the Weinsteins throughout time and leading up to this abrupt ending. The downfall of the Weinstein is fucking crazy.
You know who should have directed that? Fucking Not Quite Hollywood guy.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh yeah, like a major long documentary.
Full moon one though.
I wonder what he's got in store. Because man, he's really hit the nail on the head with his 3 documentaries so far. He's definitely the go-to guy, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think him and the guys who did the Elm Street Legacy.
Yeah, the Friday the 13th one.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are awesome.
I think those are kind of the 2 best documentaries in horror. Oh yeah, I forgot he did do Patrick too, huh?
The remake, right?
Yeah, we should reach out to him if he's on any type of social media and ask him if he's been working on anything.
No shit.
Yeah.
Fucking thing sucks!
All right, man. So I guess we'll do the box office Brawl roundup here.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah, just an update. We don't have anything coming out next week, but we did post on the Facebook group because we were supposed to have a show last week, but we ended up not having it. Basically, I think Moods picked. Let me see here. Moods had 8 million for The Strangers 2. I went 14, and Jeremy went 14.5. I did personally think that it was probably going to be in between 8 and 14, but I was scared that it might do a little bit more than for where like I was afraid that if I picked, I guess I was focusing and believing that it was going to do closer to 14 than 8, and I mainly was concerned about undercutting Jeremy, and I should have lowered down to about 12, and I think well, that would have been closer to me, I believe, because it ended up getting 10.5 million. So Moods wins versus me. So that now leaves it to... shoot, I don't know. Did we recap Death Wish? Do you guys know? I can't remember.
I don't think so. No?
Derek, do you remember?
I don't think so.
Wait, what was the question?
Did we recap Death Wish?
I don't think you guys did it because you guys didn't record, remember?
Okay, Death Wish made 13 million opening weekend, which would be closer to Jeremy because he had 12.5. So it did 13, which means that Jeremy versus me, Jeremy would get a point.
What did I have on that one for Death Wish?
Which makes it 11-6. And then Moods had 15.5, which he would lose to Jeremy. So he would be at 7-7 again.
Still pretty good guesses, though. Yeah,
and then me, I picked 14. So me versus Moods, I would be ahead. And that would give me 8-7 for Moods. So current score is Jeremy versus me 11-6. Me having 11. Moods versus Jeremy 7-7, and then me versus Moods 8-7. Me leading. So to kind of recap, Moods would have beat Jeremy. So in Strangers. So that would make it now 8-7 for Moods. And then me versus Jeremy, I would lose. So it would be 11-7. And then me versus Moods, I would win, which would give me 9-7.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's... and we don't have anything next week, so... Damn, man, I'm bummed that I missed The Strangers. It did okay. It did okay. It didn't do great. It didn't do bad.
The Strangers? Okay. Didn't I beat you on The Strangers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So that was...
Oh, wait, did I not count that? Wait, no. Hold up. You... Oh, yeah, you... Okay, I did that wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm glad you said that. So, it is 8-8.
So it's tied.
Yeah, so my original
And I beat Jeremy, so it would be 12 to.
I went with
6.
8 million on the what was it? Yeah, Strangers. And I originally was gonna say 10, so I would have been really close. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, I would have been like really close. But yeah, that movie shit, didn't it? Wow. What was the budget on that one again? I can't even remember.
The Strangers didn't do bad. Like it did better than people were kind of predicting, I think. The budget, I don't know if it's out.
Yeah, okay.
Yet.
I was curious on that because 8 million doesn't seem like a lot, but who knows? The movie could have been a lower budget. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely isn't like a grand slam or anything. I'll be curious to see how it does next week. I don't know why it didn't really do good either, though. I guess maybe it just I don't know. It just seems like even if nobody knew that it was a sequel, it just seems like one of those films that people would be interested in.
I see. It seemed the consensus around here was there was a Strangers Part 1.
Yeah, I think. I mean, nobody that I knew at work really knew about the first one.
Yeah. So going back to when we were talking about the Strangers Part 2, I was like, that was one of the arguments I even had too. Was, are people going to is this the type of movie that you make a sequel to? Because was the first one that memorable to the average person?
Yeah, the 10-year gap.
Well, I don't think any movie that even came out 10 years ago is going to be memorable to the average person.
No,
no movie.
Yeah, that's true too, man. You know,
with today's people, the short-term memory is so bad. So yeah, we don't have anything next week coming out, so we won't do any predictions. But on the next show, there'll be, I think, Pacific Rim comes out, and I think another film too. Is Unsane come out next week? I can't remember.
I'm not
which
sure.
Looks really. Yeah, so we have Pacific Rim and Unsane for the next show that we do.
Hell yeah, Kaiju. Yeah.
I haven't seen Pacific Rim 1.
Damn you.
And then Ready Player One comes out the week after that, which is pretty cool. And then in April we have a few things. We have 3 films in the first 2 weeks, so that's pretty cool. So a lot of stuff coming out. We should actually have a winner to one of these sooner or later, because I'm at 12 against Jeremy. I only need 8 more points.
Thought we were going to 22.
Oh, are we going to 22? Okay. I thought we were just going to 20.
It makes a little bit of sense.
It's like that pitcher game that JP needs to.
It's been going on for 2 years. I'm allowed to stretch out as long as I want, Dan.
That thing is taking forever, man. Man, I tried to watch Pacific Rim one time. I was on a flight. I think I was coming back from Cancun. I was going to Cancun. And I was really drunk. I was getting really drunk, and I was just antsy and shit on the flight. And
yeah.
It was hard to concentrate on that film. It really was, because it's just so movie on the small screens and shit. I was like,
yeah, it's a very busy movie.
Yeah, dude. It was it was just making me. I couldn't focus on it, man, because I was drinking, and yeah, it wasn't good, man. So, but the thing is, I've never went back and actually checked the film out. I've heard good things, but.
Well, it's Del Toro, so you'll at least like it, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It didn't really seem like it was my thing. I wasn't into it that much, and so I guess that's why I never went back to it. But I don't know. Who knows? It is what it is, man.
Hell yeah, I hear that, man.
Yeah. Okay.
So, any more news?
Nope. That was box office, bro.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class! Do you believe in a flying spaghetti monster too, Bubblehead?
Oh.
Get with the fucking program.
Sorry. What, me?
22 shots. Oh, yeah. So I think we are going to bring back the question portion of the show. I don't know if this is going to be permanent. I just don't know.
You've got mail.
Again, we don't know.
Well, there actually is a Patreon thing. You could send us an email if you want, but there's also a Patreon option where if you want to guarantee that your question will be answered, it's like our cheapest option, I think. But yeah, so we did get an email here says, "Hey guys, haven't emailed in a long time, and I thought I'd give you guys a shout."
Well, that's because we never responded to any of them.
No, we've definitely responded to all this guy's emails. I think he usually sends in good ones.
Oh, cracking beers.
I'm a day one listener, and man, have you guys come a long way from the first episode. Moods is more sensitive than ever and has a shorter fuse during those intense debates. JP still insanely plays the devil's advocate and hogs the airtime, and Jeremy still mispronounces names and words and gets lit up and rages with illogical plot lines and bad acting.
That's so true.
Yep. Anyway, here's one for debate discussion on the pod, and I thought this would be an interesting knowledge segment for you guys to tackle. The sister pod will also get this question, and I'll be interested to see how everyone's viewpoints match. As you know, I'm reviewing the Amityville franchise on the group page, and this series, probably more than any other, creates a question of what constitutes a film series sequel. Is having a reference, Amityville, in the title enough? Is being set in the same location, area, timeline, time period enough? Is a mention of something from the previous film enough? Does it have to feature some form of continuity or characters from the previous entries? I personally feel it should either continue with the previous story or particular character storylines, branch off from that story while maintaining those roots, or be a prequel and tell backstory of the current story. The Hellraiser sequels weren't written as Hellraiser scripts, but they at least incorporated the Lamont configuration and Pinhead. The Cloverfield series is another one that comes to mind. Interested to hear your thoughts. So that's from Jim from Toronto, which we actually just posted an article on the website where he reviewed all of the witchcraft films, which is actually a really good article. Check that out on the website. And we will post the full Amityville reviews on the website in one collection as well after he finishes those. So Moods, I'll ask, since I hog the airtime usually, I will ask you first, like, what is your thoughts on this?
Wait a minute, this guy called me more sensitive than ever? What the fuck is he talking about?
I agree with him. You definitely get way more fired up than you used to.
Especially during that
age. It's the old age.
Especially during that Ed podcast, I was like, holy shit, he turned into the Hulk.
So that's because Jeremy's argument was fucking retarded, and he changed his argument halfway between. So, and he wasn't acknowledging the fact that he had done that.
He did.
Right? And so it was so fucking irritating and frustrating. Yeah, I was pissed off at that, but no, it's because I like to yell now a lot because JP is always talking.
That's never changed, though.
That's where the sensitivity comes. What constitutes a sequel? You know, it's obviously all these answers are subjective. If you look at the majority of franchises, you take the Howling. You know, we were just talking about the Howling. There's not really a lot of continuity going through that franchise at all. But it's still a franchise because it's basically telling different stories of werewolves and things like that. I don't know, for myself, what constitutes a sequel is it could just be the name. It doesn't have to have continuity. I mean, if you're talking about franchises as a whole, I don't necessarily think that it has. I mean, I would prefer it to
look at Halloween 3.
That's the thing. You know, that's a great example because that one, you know, it's a sequel. It's part of the franchise, but it's not anything to do with
sequel.
Yeah,
it's not really a sequel.
Exactly. So
a direct sequel.
What it comes down for me is it's more the name. I mean, if you have a Howling film and it's made part of that franchise, I mean, that's good enough for myself. Me personally, I would rather have the continuity through a franchise. You know, like the first 4 Friday the 13th films and shit like that. You know, things that are kind of connecting themselves. Or Phantasm is a great example of a franchise that has nothing but continuity. I mean, the films start right where they leave off. That's amazing. We're not going to get that with all franchises, but those are exceptions. But for myself, it really does come down to the name. I mean, you have a lot of these films. The Amityville franchise is a great example of a franchise that is very confusing because there's a lot of films with Amityville in the title that aren't necessarily part of the original franchise, but they're kind of like these pseudo sequels in a sense It's
Yeah,
just
like-
it's telling a different story based off the Amityville mythology. And
Some of them are just called Amityville just to get a fucking buck, like that Panolia brother one.
yeah. Do I consider it
that
to be
actu-
an actual sequel? Not really, but I mean, if it has the name in there, I guess you could lump it into that realm of the franchise, right? So
Yeah. It's.
What about you, Derek?
Well, for me personally, like I like continuity as much as anybody else, but for Mood said with the Howling films, it's like they're werewolf films, so I'll still watch them because they have some kind of like thing that connects them. You know what I mean? But then like certain like sequels, like the Amityville ones, like the real Amityville ones do like concentrate on the house. I do think so.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those are the ones that I really would watch. But then some of them don't even have nothing to do with the house, like I said, which I don't. They just use the title and shit, but they're kind of like unofficial sequels, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which does happen with
Sequels
a lot
and
of,
like name and like sequels with just a name and only sequel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, so for me, I think that it boils down to a few things. Like, first, you have to define what a sequel actually is, and you have to take into consideration whether intent is, there, for one, when it comes to, like, creating a sequel. But I think that you could break it down a few ways. For one, if a film has a number next to it, if it's like Amityville 4, I consider that a sequel. Now, here's where it kind of gets tricky, though, is because the Amityville series is probably one of the best examples, but Amityville 1 through 3 were owned by MGM.
Yep.
And then whenever I assume rights changed, and that's how we got Amityville 4. And then there was a few TV movies, which I think are still part of the original series. Like, I think it was a rights thing. And then all the way up until the remake. And then everything that came after the remake besides Amityville Awakening, I think are just because the Amityville name is not copywritten or whatever. I think anybody can kind of make an Amityville film. So I would say that Amityville 1 through I think Dollhouse are original, and then the remake is original, and then I think Amityville Awakening would be considered original sequel as well. Mm-hmm. And then the other ones are kind of unofficial in name only sequels. So I think when you really boil it down, it should have to do with, is this a copywritten name that somebody is allowed to make a sequel on? Because we've seen other films that, change hands, much like Hellraiser. Like Hellraiser 4 through whatever are owned by Dimension, but we all consider them still Hellraiser films because they have Pinhead in them. But technically, it's a similar situation to the later Amityville films. Not the newest ones that are like in name only, but it's very weird. I think that it comes down. I think the first thing that will automatically make something a sequel is if it has a number or is directly connected. Yeah. If there's just a reference to the original films, I think it comes down to if the rights are owned by, if the rights have changed hands and they own the property, so they're allowed to make a sequel. I think that there's not many situations and cases where films are unofficial sequels because most of the time it's illegal. But sometimes in rare circumstances like Amityville, I think that it's, they don't have the copyrights to do that because there is no copyrights for that, I guess. Like the Cloverfield films are another example. I would consider them in-name sequels because technically it's the same company making them. But they really don't have anything to do with each other.
Well, the thing also too is like there's tons of Amityvilles, and like even in Jaws, it takes place in Amityville, but it's a fictional Amityville. You know what I mean? So it's not really.
Well, that takes place in Amity, which is different from Amityville.
I'm like so confused on the fact that Amityville isn't a copyrighted name. Like you think it totally would be.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because it's a place and you can't do that. I don't know what it really. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but
and plus it was based on a book. Like I don't know.
But the name Amityville could be referring to many different things, right? I mean, in the using it as a film title or a book title or whatever, you can still copyright it in that sense.
Well, actually, the funniest, like Andy, talked about this earlier. The Haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghosts of Georgia.
Yeah, because it's not in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Yeah, but I mean, you also have like other things like the horror show, right? Is that technically a house sequel? I think technically it is, because it was done by the people who made House 1 and 2, and then the fact that there's a House 4.
Yeah. Plus, it kind of does have like similar themes. Like, it does have like a house involved with it and shit.
Well, it actually wasn't made as a house sequel originally. It was
It was just released in some territories as House 3. But the problem is there is a House 4.
Yeah.
So the company that made House 4 is the same that made the horror show. So at some point they must have acknowledged that horror show was in fact a house.
Yeah, what happened was House 3 was released in the UK, or the horror show was released in the UK as part 3, like House 3.
It was.
Right? So then that's where the part 4 came from. So when they did part 4, they just went along with that. Like, well, we might as well just lump it into the franchise, and then that's how part 4 got named House 4. So it's a little bit confusing, because in the US it was the horror show. It really does not.
But it's weird that in the US it's House 4, right?
Yeah, but they just went along.
It's not like in the US they called it House 3.
They completely just went along with the retitling the UK title. You know, I mean, we've seen this in a lot of different franchises, and then made the part 4, which is kind of interesting, but. Yeah, I know I think people get super confused by that, but it was never intended to be a house sequel, though. So
it wasn't intended in its creation, but in like revisionist history, I guess
it just ended up being one.
Considered enough.
I have no idea why the UK distributors renamed the horror show House 3. I mean, it's obviously just to gain notoriety and money.
Also, because it was made by the same people that did.
Yeah.
House 2.
Yeah, Sean Cunningham.
But at that time, that shit was put out, I mean, the horror show isn't probably going to sell as well as, House 3.
House 3.
Because,
I mean,
it's playing
if you
off
go
the previous
into,
films.
like, Europe, it happens very frequently, especially with, like, Italian films. And, like, look at Zombie, right?
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
funny.
Zombie 2 is technically the first in the series if you're in the US.
Yeah.
While it's sequel in the UK and in Italy.
Yeah, because Dawn of the Dead was released as Zombie, right, in Italy.
Yeah, and then in the UK it was released as Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Yeah, and then Zombie. So when Fulci did his zombie film, since Dawn of the Dead was named Zombie in Italy, he just called it Zombie 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then Zombie 3 still called Zombie 3 in the US.
And you have all these different sort of Demons films too. Like you have Demons 1 and 2, which are technically the only Demons films.
Yeah.
But there were some territories that released Demons 3, the Ogre, as which was just the Ogre, and
it
they
was a TV
slapped
film.
Demons 3 on it.
Yeah.
And then also the Sect was released as Demons 4 in some territories, as was the Church.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Black Demons too. That was also another one that was like this is Demons 3 too. You know what I mean?
Well, the fucking La Casa films. Yeah, the Evil Dead films. Like with Witch House and
Witchery
and stuff. They were like part 4 and 5 or something like that in the French. They were released over
and
like
in
that.
fact the House films.
Yeah, I know.
I think the House films were in there. Because, here it is. Yeah. La Casa is Evil Dead. La Casa 2 is Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
La Casa 3 is Ghost House. La Casa 4 is Witchery. La Casa 5 is Beyond the Darkness. La Casa 6 is House 2. And La Casa 7 is the horror show.
It's like combining 3 different franchises. Ridiculous. What's going on there?
What year did House 2 come out?
What year did it come out?
Well, that's
That's
it came
weird.
out in like 86, 87.
That's the weird thing about that whole listing is that those
because
films
Beyond
came
the
out
Darkness
before.
is a 90s film.
Yeah, I know. Like even the release dates are completely out of order there. So they were just releasing films as whatever they wanted, essentially.
That's fucked.
That is fucked, man. That completely doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see sort of these different territories labeling things as sequels, because sometimes it actually truly does become part of the franchise. Like with the House films, like I think many people consider all 4 of those to be House films now, even though at the initial start it was the horror show. But it's kind of crazy how like fandom and other factors of can change the way things work.
100%, man. I think, your explanation about, the rights and the copyrights and things, I think that stuff that's like really, really deep. I think the average person's not really going to look at it like that and worry about who owns these films and who they're being made by, if that makes them, the proper sequel and stuff like that. I think, more people, I mean, if you talk about the Amityville films, I mean, I think if you did a poll, man, you'd be like, hey, is this Amityville Playhouse or Death House and Asylum, are those part of the franchise? I mean, I would just say yeah, because in name only, right?
But the thing is, they're actually not in name only, because I was reading his reviews and apparently they all kind of tie to the original in some way, or at least the original house.
Well, I know the Amityville Asylum actually does, or maybe it's The Haunting. No, I think The Haunting's actually the one that was based right off the book or something like that.
Which one's the found footage one?
That's The Haunting.
I think, yeah, and an Amityville Asylum, I think, has something to do. So I actually haven't seen some of these movies, so I can't actually talk from experience. But
how about the Polonia brother one?
The Amityville Death House.
That one does too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess at one point in the film or something, there is a reference to the original one. So, but I mean, that's good enough. I mean, even the name, the Amityville Haunting, the Amityville Asylum, Amityville Death House. Like, to me, if we were to do a Amityville franchise, that name alone is enough for me to lump it into the franchise.
I think we would split it into 2 halves. I think we would do the first half would be like up until the remake, which I believe would be like 7 or 8 films, and then we would do the other 8 or so on the other side.
Yeah, this franchise is ever growing, man. They're rapid fire right now. They're coming out like every year. It's insane. It's just crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I haven't seen like any of the newer. Have you, Derek? Have you seen any of these ones, like the Amityville Haunting, Asylum? Did you see the Polonia one?
No,
Amityville Death. I never saw it either.
Yeah, it's like
the Amityville Death House. Here's a preview of Jim's review, who actually wrote this email. He says they should have stopped at Dollhouse. It would have even taken the remake fine, but nope. Greed had to kick in, and here's another cash grab. A girl with her friends coming back from a humanitarian mission is asked by her mother to check on her grandmother, who happens to live in Amityville and hasn't been heard from in quite a while. She arrives at the house, which apparently they CGI the windows to make it look like the Amityville house. Because the Amityville house has those iconic windows up top.
That is stupid to the worst levels of production right there. Yeah. When you have to CG windows.
I mean, apparently right there, though, like Amityville Death House has to do with Amityville in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
So everyone that I've read so far says that, it had. I
mean, if you're gonna
like Amityville Asylum is where the house used to be. They built an asylum.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna use the title Amityville boldly enough, in your film, you might as well have some type of reference to the original. And I mean, most of these probably, like you said, they do. So, I mean, that's enough for me, man. Like I said. Name and only. It's just like I said, using the Howling franchise. All those films are not connected. The only connection, the only bond that they have is the Howling title.
The only one that's really has any continuity with the first one is the second one, which is a bad movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, part 3, goes to Australia. It was an Australian production, and it's a completely different storyline. And then part 4 is like a remake, and then part 5 is like the fucking 10 Little Indians slasher. It's all over the place. Part 7 is a goddamn country
part
western
6
music.
Has fucking Bruce Payne turned into a giant purple news motherfucker.
The only thing that connects the bond there is the name. So, but which is good enough for me. I mean, a lot of people don't question it. Maybe because they haven't seen the Howling sequels before. That seems to be the major consensus here. No one's actually seen them. Right? No one actually comments on that franchise. It seems like it's one of the most underwatched franchises out there. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm cool with calling shit sequels, honestly.
Yeah,
like, if it has the name, I'm cool with calling it a sequel.
Yeah, I don't mind. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, of course, the Amityville films, we would probably say with the asterisks, like, these are probably unofficial sequels, but yeah.
But as long as they have the name there, it's good enough to throw in that massive franchise shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the giant witchcraft show that Jeremy wants to do one day.
I think that is going to be a major, like, we're just gluttons for punishment, though.
That might be your last episode ever.
Ah, shit, man. It'd still be fun to do. But
yeah.
So many to get to. So many. So little time. Yeah.
Definitely.
We got any more questions?
Nope, that was it.
I kind of miss doing them. Kind of fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
Especially when they're like thought out questions, not just like, what's your favorite slasher killer?
What's your top 5 favorite fucking releasing companies?
What's your favorite mask? BBK, baby. My favorite mask of all time. Fucking JP. Just crickets. Doesn't even want to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I
doesn't
don't even
want
to discuss this again.
I only brought it up because we actually got an update from Ryan the other day about Gutterballs 2.
Really? What'd he say?
So I was under the impression that Ryan had done the reshoots already, because he's using about 40 minutes of the footage that he showed us in HorrorCon and at Texas Frightmare. So I was under the impression last year that he had shot the other 40 or 45 minutes or whatever he's going to do. But I guess he hadn't. That was the update. He's saying, hey guys, this year started off really good. And basically the short and long of it was, we are going to be doing the next half of the film coming up here very shortly. So by this time, you guys will have your products and things like that. So cool. I was like, whoa, okay. I guess he hasn't done the reshoots, because I think I'd even mentioned that too, that he had done them, because I had talked to Ryan personally last year, and so I don't know if he was still, he had
that health scare.
No, I know. I've talked to Ryan quite a few times since then, but I don't know if he just didn't want to fully admit it. I don't know what was going on there, but I was on the impression that he was doing them at the time or had done them. But either way, the update is good, and he promises one each month, and by I think probably fall time we should have something. So
cool,
good enough for me, man. So more BBK killer coming at you. Yeah. Fuck yeah, man! I'm excited. It's kind of funny too, because me and Dylan were kind of talking about it a little bit when we saw Gutterballs 2 a couple years ago at HorrorCon. I said to him, I was like, dude, do you even remember the film? He's like, no, I can't remember it at all. So the new product is going to be whatever. I don't know. It's going to be obviously different, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Of course, man. It's going to be awesome.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Have you checked the children?
What do we do?
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
Moving along here. Getting into the dub portion of the show. What we watched, where we go round tree, review a couple films, give our thoughts, ratings, pass it along. Who wants to start? Actually, Derek, you might as well start us off.
How many are we doing?
We're doing 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll start it off for you guys today. First film I'm reviewing today is a film from 2000. I actually got a nice little box set of serial killer films, so I wanted to pop that open. So I checked out from 2000 Ed Gein. This is not the Kane Hodder one, which is a shit fest. This is the one starring the one and only Steve Railsback. Pretty much, if you know the story of Ed Gein, he serial killer back in what was the time period?
50s.
I want to say it was the 40s or 50s. Yeah, 50s, in Wisconsin.
Yeah, this is pretty much like a retelling of the actual events, and Ed Gein was influenced, and loosely movies were based off him, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho. But pretty much it's like an actual portrayal of the actual events, and it goes into like his backstory with his relationship with his mother, and it goes back and forth between present time during when the film of the actual murders and grave robins to like the time in his relationship with his mother. Now, I gotta say, if you haven't known Steve Railsback, I've seen him in a bunch of movies, including like The Stuntman and like 76. He actually played Charles Manson in the TV movie Helter Skelter. Fucking kills it as Ed Gein in this one. It's phenomenal. He pretty much prepped for this role for 2 months to play this role, and he's phenomenal in it. He does a terrific job. You know, like it's like he just wore the skin suit right into it. You know what I mean? His portrayals are phenomenal. It's really a great performance, and I gotta say, like, you know, it has like its moments where you get to see like his interaction with like his victims and like the everyday life of him before like the killings and his grave robins and what he did inside of his house and shit. It's pretty cool. And you know, like some of the backstory stuff, it is kind of hammy because they use some certain like effect shots in it, which kind of do hurt the overall product, but it's still like a passable, well-made film for the budget that it is. You could tell this is like a lower budget film. Steve Railsback is the highlight of this movie, and I can't think of the actress off the top of my head who plays his mother. She does a really good job. Some like, you know, like hammy performances and kind of like shaky and kind of goes over the top as the film progresses. Certain characters, but overall, it's still an enjoyable watch. If you want to know more about Ed Gein, I still recommend it. I'd give it like a 8 out of 10.
So yeah, Ed Gein is kind of a interesting serial killer. I'm a huge fan of serial killers. Like, I actually want to do another show because we've only done
he
the
actually
Henry
is
Lee
one
Lucas.
himself.
Yeah, right. But Ed Gein actually was not a serial killer. I guess he would be considered a multiple murderer because he only killed 2 people.
Yeah.
And they were about 3 years apart. When you look at like someone like Jeff Dahmer, who I think killed about 17, that's impressive. Ed Gein is definitely more interesting based on his grave robbing and his different things that he was doing involving that. A very close adaptation to Ed Gein is actually Deranged from 74.
Yes.
They changed the name to Ezra Cobb in that film, but that one kind of plays very similar to what actually happened.
With the guy from Home Alone.
Really? I didn't know that.
You know, the guy the shoveling guy. That's the guy who played that part.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good double feature, man, Deranged and Ed Gein. Because it's 2 different takes. It really is.
You know what you guys should do is like a serial killer spotlight where you pick like maybe like 2 or 3 like films and do like a serial killer spotlight on like the different variations of like serial killers like life on film. Like there's a few films on Dahmer, there's a few films on Ed Gein. You could do like one like a volume 1 with like Ed Gein and then like a volume 2 with like Dahmer.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've done the Henry Lee Lucas show, which
you did.
You know, that's actually a good idea, man, because there's some really good Dahmer films out there, even like the lower budget ones, like Secret Life of Jeffrey Dahmer, and then the film entitled Dahmer, who was played by
Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner, who does a great job in that film too.
Yeah, you don't need to tell me about that one. I love that movie.
Yeah, in fact, all 4 of those films, they came out in 2002, 2003, all have the same cover. You know, just the head. I guess you can call it a big ass floating head. Big ass floating head.
Gacy, Dahmer, and Ted Bundy.
And Ted Bundy. Those are all pretty decent films. You know, for their budgets, they're very low budget, but they're good. I think the story.
Dahmer is amazing. I recommend Dahmer to everybody. Like, that movie blew me away.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's probably my favorite.
My number 4 of 2002.
My least favorite one is the Ted Bundy one because they pick up his story kind of in the middle. You know, there's so much.
It's a little long too.
Yeah, but they pick it up like at a weird time, and there's so much interesting stuff that happened before it picks up, and so. But But that's a good idea, though, man. Actually, comparing films. I'd love to do a show on Dahmer because he's always been the most fascinating serial killer to me, man.
Yeah, he's my favorite for sure.
Yeah, you could even do the Green River Killer case too. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah. There's tons
variations of those.
There's a couple really good films based on the that Russian serial killer, the child killer.
Oh, Ivanenko or whatever.
Yeah, man. Like, there's a couple really.
Citizen X and yeah.
Citizen X with Kiefer Sutherland's in it, I think.
Stephen Ray.
Or Donald, or someone's in it. I can't remember who the fuck's in it, but
Donald Sutherland. Yeah,
Donald Sutherland. Yeah, I said Kiefer. I meant Donald. But yeah, and then the other one with Malcolm McDowell. He's in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are really good too. And you know, he's one of the serial killers that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. But man, he was a mean motherfucker. That one, a child killer, man, and he killed a lot. It's fucked up.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, man, that's good shit though. I love to do a Dahmer one, man. Sick fuck.
All right, I got one next. Pretty quick one here. This is Prey from 1977. Vinegar Syndrome released this.
I get it. Oh, this is awesome.
Have you seen this?
Oh yeah, man. I have like the old Redemption DVD from like way back, like 97 DVD release.
He did a review of this. The beginning of the review. Prey, Alien Prey.
It cuts to me snoring in my chair. Like just
okay.
straight up, yeah.
Yeah, so this film, it came out in 77. Seems very low budget. Basically, a alien life form that resembles what I call a fox. Comes down to the Earth, quickly dispatches two people, and somehow he can take the form of other people. But I think he only does that once. And he takes form of the person that he kills. And he basically kind of, I guess, lands in the lives of this lesbian couple. Yep. And it starts like bringing up all these like sort of insecurities between the couple, where the more, I guess, dominant lesbian doesn't like the guy because she thinks that her girlfriend is, interested in him. It really is a movie that just seems all over the place. Like it doesn't seem like a movie that they thought out very well. In fact, I think I even read or seen in the special features that they kind of just was making shit up as they went. So kind of makes sense that it would be a little all over the place. I do think that there's a like decent level of eroticism with the lesbians. You could see them naked a little bit, have sex. There's a scene where they dress the dude up in like drag, which was weird. Seemed kind of. Mm-hmm. Was there a reason why they did that? I might have missed it. Do you know?
I'm assuming it's because they're lesbians and they wanted a third one there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But what I said in my other review on Letterboxd is, for some reason, even though this film seems like very directionless, I was somehow interested in just seeing where the hell it was going to go, because I literally had no idea what the final act of this film was going to be. And actually, if you would have cut out like a big part of the middle and got to the final act a little bit faster, even though I don't think this movie is long at all, the final act is actually all right. Like, it deals with basically the lesbian kind of turning on the other one, and then there's like this almost like comedy, like I think it's unintentional, of like this chase scene and the way that she kind of is running from the alien prey guy.
Oh my God.
And she falls into this damn grave, and she just like, it's like shot so shittily because she's just like, oh no, like not climbing up out of here. They make it look like it, like I think the viewer is supposed to assume that it's a deep ass hole, but it's like 3 foot, so it doesn't really work. And then the final scene is just like, I loved it. It was just so cheesy. Like the reveal of like what the alien was looking for down here is just hilarious to me. It's definitely not a good movie, but it did hold my attention. And honestly, like the transfer for this, I said in my review, I was like, the Blu-ray probably makes this movie better than it actually is, because the Blu-ray looks so good. And I came in at a 4 out of 10 on this one.
That sounds about right. I don't remember what I rated it, but it had to have been in that vicinity. So I honestly find that movie super boring.
No, it's definitely boring. Like I said, I think that the because the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-rays, you just like stare at it because it's so good quality and lots of boringness to it. There was like some minor moments of gore in there that kind of helped it along a little bit. As I said, the eroticism helped it around a little bit because there's a little bit of nude scenes. And basically just pure curiosity of where the story was going to go is the only things that made me be able to hold my attention to the film.
Well, good thing is, though, Vinegar Syndrome is actually putting out one of the director's better films.
Yeah.
Terror.
Which is...
Terror.
Okay.
Norman J. Warren, yeah.
Well, don't let Norman J. Warren turn you off, JP, because from '76 you need to watch Saint and Slave. It's actually one of his best films. Probably is.
Yeah, really?
I would probably say Saint and Slave is his best film. Well, it's my favorite of the films that he's done.
Yeah, okay. It's that and Terror are probably his best.
Better for sure, man. I mean, his most famous movie is probably Inseminoid, aka Horror Planet.
Yeah,
I think from '81, everybody kind of knows that one. It's got this really iconic kind of cover art and stuff like that. But to be honest, that one kind of loses me too, man. It's kind of boring. I don't know.
I mean, Vinegar Syndrome makes me enjoy watching bad movies. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Vinegar Syndrome, but
they put out a handful of bad movies. Like, for every good movie they put out like 3 or 4 bad ones. But the transfer is always so damn good, and I'm often interested to know how this movie was made. Because they another one that I watched from them recently was Lucifer's Women. Did you see that one yet?
I haven't seen that one. I picked it up. I haven't watched it yet though.
Okay, that one's interesting. Not super entertaining again, like Prey, but that one's interesting because that movie was considered lost for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And basically, apparently, it's not made its way to video. And it was actually recut as a different film called Dracula something. Yeah. And they actually throw that onto the disc too, on a separate disc. So it's a double feature there. And it's basically the remake, because apparently the original Lucifer's Women, it's played straightforward. It's not like a comedy or anything. Apparently the other film, which I didn't watch yet, is more of a cheesy comedy type thing, or it's different apparently. I don't know. I'd be curious to see how they changed it and recut it and added and reshot certain things for it. But I think Vinegar Syndrome just puts out these very curious things that just make you kind of interested to hear the story of how it was made.
They didn't mess around with that either. They they have the reversible artwork for that other film. It's kind of cool. So you can kind of reverse it and have it whatever you want. I think that's really neat. Vinegar Syndrome does such a great job, man. I'm actually looking at one right now. Hobgoblin's sitting in front of me. And it's making me laugh. It's making me laugh because it's so bad. I'd post a video in the group from Hobgoblin.
The scene where they fight with the broomsticks or whatever the hell they are.
The rake and the hoe.
Oh my god, it's so bad. It's so
bad. There's all this. There's these it goes on forever. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, it actually is terrible.
Absolutely.
Okay, man, moving along here. Patreon pick from my boy Mikey Fisher, and this one right here is from, I want to say 2003, and 2003, and it's called Monster Man. Directed by Michael Davis. He's directed so many classic films such as Beanstalk, 8 Days a Week, 100 Girls, Girl Fever. Those are all romantic comedies and shit. It's what the fuck? And then all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere and does Monster Man, and then a couple years later did Shoot 'Em Up. He directed that movie Shoot 'Em Up.
Was it Clive Owen?
Yeah.
Really?
How random is this guy's filmography? I literally burst out laughing when I was reading his films. Romantic comedy, Monster Man. Oh, Shoot 'Em Up.
I didn't even know that when I reviewed that movie. I actually like Shoot 'Em Up.
I actually haven't seen it. I just know the film, but yeah, Monster Man from 2003. This was kind of an interesting one because I've seen this film around for years, and I didn't really know that it was actually like a road horror film. It just kind of looked ridiculous to me, super low budget shit. But of course, Mikey mentioned it one time. We were on Skype talking, and everybody went out and bought it. So it's kind of like this resurgence of Monster Man, you know. It's kind of funny. But basically, what we have here, we have film follows our two main characters. Adam is going on a road trip. He's driving to a different city to marry his girlfriend, Betty Ann. Adam's a very awkward virgin, so he's basically Jeremy. Holy shit. But yeah, Adam's a very kind of conservative, awkward person. And as he's leaving, he finds out that his buddy Harley, as you know, kind of wants to join him. And, you know, you can tell that they have a history together. They're not like the best of friends, but they're friends. Harley convinces Adam to take him along on his journey. So they do so. And, of course, Harley's like a loudmouth, wisecracking. That's his character. He's a moron. You know, he just says all the wrong things, you know. And, of course, that's where the storyline comes in. They end up stopping at this, like, kind of, I want to say hillbilly diner type thing, and he's just making fun of the hillbillies in there and shit. One thing leads to another, and they end up picking up this hitchhiker, which her name escapes here now. I think her name's I can't remember. Hot blonde chick. And all of a sudden, this monster truck comes out of fucking nowhere and start terrorizing him on the streets, probably due to the fact that he was, you know, talking shit about the hillbillies, and now they gotta, you know, fight off this monster truck before it kills them. So this one right here is pretty much, it's a road horror comedy. It's so much comedy in it. It's actually pretty entertaining, I have to say, man. The contrast between Adam and Harley was killing me through the film, man. It was just, their characters were just making me laugh with everything they were saying. It was pretty funny. I wasn't expecting this film to be as good as everyone was kind of hyping it up to be. It was really fun. It's not like a mind-blowing film or anything, but it's also not as low budget as I was anticipating also. Mikey said it was really low budget and shit, and I was like, okay. So I'm watching, I'm like, that seems pretty normal. You know, it's a low budget film, but the coolest thing about the film, though, is the actual look of the monster truck. It's fucking badass looking, man. It's like this just steel box on these, like...
Yeah, it's like something you'd see out of, like, Mad Max, kind of.
Yeah, it's like this really kind of shitty looking steel box, but it's so badass, sounds awesome. It's on, like, you know, 4.5 foot tire or 6 foot tires or whatever the fuck they are. It's just awesome. It sounds awesome. It looks awesome. And so what surprised me about this movie, though, is it was pretty straightforward. You know, these two guys being terrorized by this monster truck with this, they got this beautiful hitchhiker. It was the third act. All of a sudden we get some twists and turns in it. I was like, what the fuck? Monster Man actually has a pretty decent script. And, you know, I mean, really doesn't make a lot of sense what was going on in the third act, but it was also a comedy and it was pretty entertaining to see. I mean, I did not see this film going in the direction it did towards the end at all.
Me neither. I was surprised.
I know, and it just made me laugh because I was
like, are you what are you talking about?
Monster Man.
The third act of Monster Man.
This sounds awfully familiar. Did I reviewed this film?
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute. This sounds exactly like the movie that I reviewed. I knew that it was the same title, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, so that third act, man, like goes full blown craziness.
It goes insanity. You know, you get this reveal, and then it just goes batshit after that. I'm just like, what the fuck's going on here?
You know though that even though like there's a lot of great like good practical effects in this movie, the third act's actually my main gripe when you do see like that one little scene where you notice a little CGI and it's very noticeable. You think I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think I do. I just can't remember.
When a certain character walks.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, man. But you know, to be honest, you know, I was very impressed with the film overall. Like for the 2003 was that era where a lot of these low budget films really did rely on CG because that's, you know, that was a lot cheaper to make the films, right?
Yeah,
this one really strayed away from it. And, you know, yeah, there's like a moment or two maybe in the film, but it's not like the worst shit in the world, but I was impressed by the amount of practical effects and how much was in the film. Yeah, it was pretty impressive, actually. It's pretty fun.
They were perfectly cast. Like that, what was the name of the main guy?
Adam.
Adam, he was the kid from Not Another Teen Movie, the dorky kid that was always.
Oh, is that where he's from?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the other kid, Harley, was the dorky, fatter kid from How High, the Method Man, Redman movie.
Oh yeah, that's totally true. I knew I'd seen him before in something. I didn't look him up while I was watching the film, but I was like, where the fuck is that Harley guy from? But that makes sense. But he was like legitimately pretty funny. You know, he's just kind of a moronic character. Just says all the stupid things, but he some of his lines were killing me, man.
And then the chick was the little girl from Critters 3. She grew up nice.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty awesome shit. Crazy. But yeah, Monster Man, you know, very impressive, man. Very impressive. You know, it has that tongue-in-cheek comedy, man. Like there's a part where, you know, Harley's kind of in a sticky situation between a rock and a hard place, literally kind of crushed in a car, and he says like he says something on the lines of being a corpse burrito, and it like I literally busted out laughing out loud by myself. I was pissing myself. I was like, corpse burrito? I'm like, this is fucking stupid. But yeah, this one goes like kind of ape shit towards the end, and like what they're doing, like the whole third act and shit. I was just like, of course this movie turned into that. It's so ridiculous. You know, it doesn't really make any sense on how it would actually work. You know, but
the final shot makes me crack up.
Oh yeah, dude, like the end of the film is pretty funny. But yeah, Monster Man, I recommend it. It was really fun. I'm glad that Mikey, you know, made me watch this film, because it was one that I just kept passing off as whatever. I guess I just didn't look too hard into it. But if I didn't know right from the start if it was, you know, road horror, I would have definitely given this one a shot. It's one of my favorite subgenres, and this one is a ball of fun. 7.5 out of 10. Really enjoyed it.
Nice.
So yeah,
I gave it like a 7 on my review.
Yeah, I was shocked, man, that I was expecting a ton of CG in it, and I didn't get it. So I was like, wow, very impressive.
Yeah, there was a lot of good practical effects. Like I said, there's a little minor hints that were very noticeable when they were there, but it was still like a great amount of practical. Yeah. And I wish kind of had maybe like a little higher body count for the type of, you know, that was the main other great.
I mean, there's definitely opportunity to do that too, but I mean, if you put it in the context of the story, I mean, there was a specific reason, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess for sure. I mean, you always want higher body counts in films, for sure. But
yeah,
I can see that
for myself, sure. Anyways. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, especially what you're dealing with, a huge monster truck like that. Like,
yeah,
how would you not want to see that thing just running over cars and bodies popping like pimples inside of crushed vehicles and shit, man? That'd be fucking amazing. So, but yeah, Monster Man, give it a shot. 2003, low budget goodness.
And the end of that review, fuck you, Zach.
Yeah, fuck you, Zacher. Derek.
Okay, back to me. Next film I chose is actually an Asian film, unbelievably or not, but it's from China, Hong Kong, from 1998, Bio Zombie.
Oh, yeah.
Guys ever hear of this one?
Yep, I've reviewed it.
Heard of it. I don't think I've seen it.
JP
pretty fun.
He'd fucking hate this movie.
Probably.
Maybe like the second half of it.
Where did you go? Did you go to Mexico, JP, or what? You sound really far.
Really?
Oh, now you don't.
Oh. Huh.
I think every time I'm reviewing a film, he just takes off. It doesn't say a fucking word, just takes off. What are you reviewing? Continue, Derek.
Yeah, so Bio Zombie from 1998. We're introduced to our main characters of Woody and Crazy Bee, and this is like the perfect, like, the way I would describe like the first half of this movie is like a Asian version of Mallrats, or like Clerks in a way, because pretty much they're like these guys that work at like this CD store inside like this low-end mall that's actually very dead for a mall. Well, it's in Hong Kong, so I don't know how they do business there. And they interact with like certain characters. Like there's this girl that Woody likes named Rolls, who also the local like sushi guy also has the hots for. So there's like a little like love triangle there going on. And so Woody and Crazy Bee end up going to pick up their boss's car So they end up going there and end up getting the car, and then they end up running this guy over, and we see this guy, he's actually part of like this biochemical deal that's gone wrong, and they end up giving him like a certain thing that, like a soda drink that is part of this biochemical beverage. It's like a chemical that they use for chemical warfare. So they give him this, and he ends up dying inside the trunk, and pretty much what ends up happening is this guy becomes a zombie. He ends up coming to the mall, and the few people that are left in the mall start getting infected one by one, and it's up to Woody and Crazy B and the few other survivors to fight zombies in a mall, pretty much. I gotta say, for like a late 90s like horror comedy / Asian film, I really like the mall rat thing that this film was going, because the opening credits are done like they actually go to like movies and talk about movies that they want to go see and shit. So it was really cool with that aspect, because kind of like us, we like to go see movies and shit too, and it was kind of cool. And them just hitting on girls and shit and doing like Jay and Silent Bob or like Randall or like Dante would, you know what I mean? It's like that type of humor. And then like it turns into like this crazy like zombie movie, and even though like they're like, because they were like big video game guys, so they have like little like video game references throughout like the second to third act of this movie that are really funny, and it has like that good humor. It's very humorous, and I highly enjoyed it for what it was. It has some cool practical effects throughout it, and kind of like bubbly zombies. That's the way I would describe these. Would you describe them as that, Moods?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like the way that this chemical overreacts is kind of the biochemical reaction, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And some over the topness with it too, like with certain like zombie characters.
Oh yeah, big time.
Especially one that we know about. It goes into more of love triangle type deal. But it's super fun if you like horror comedies. This is one that I think needs to get like a re-release, because I know this Tokyo Shock DVD is out of print, and it has like a funny like special feature where you can watch the movie subtitled in English. It's like broken English, like the subtitles, so it's kind of funny.
In English?
Yeah. It's actually a special.
I didn't even notice that on the DVD. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it comes with regular subtitles, and then it comes with the English subtitles.
It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
English. It's kind of like the racist subtitles right there.
Yeah, so I highly recommend this if you're a fan of like that Kevin Smith Mallrats humor mixed with like zombie film. That's the way I would describe this one, but more like Asian style, of course.
Yeah,
with, like certain aspects of that, and some assholes characters, and certain like especially during the third act, there's one asshole that comes in this movie that you fucking hate. But I highly enjoyed it, so I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
And according to the facts of Zachary, that one is better than Shaun of the Dead.
No, that's Tokyo Zombie. He thinks is better than Shaun.
Yeah, Tokyo Zombie is better. So.
All right. The next film I'm going to review is... Okay, this one is weird. It is 1991's The Sect, a.k.a. The Devil's Daughter, a.k.a. Demons 4. And this is a film directed by Michele Sauve.
Michele Suave?
Whatever. I'm pretty sure it's Sauve.
It's Suave.
But I don't know how to say his first name.
It's
no, we
Suave.
was told. Remember somebody? No. I'm pretty sure it was Sauve, right? Didn't somebody let us know exactly how to say it? And I'm pretty sure it was Sauve. I can't remember, but this one stars actually Jamie Lee Curtis's sister. Yeah. Did you guys know that?
Yep.
Was she had a sister?
I didn't even know she had a sister.
Yeah, she's in Trading Places with her.
Well, it's kind of like Jennifer Tilly. People forget that her sister's Meg Tilly. You know, it's just kind of the same thing, I guess.
Yeah, so didn't do a ton of acting, but I think this is their only horror film. But this is a film. it's a little hard to follow. It starts off in 1970s California, dealing with a bunch of hippies, and this guy rolls over to their camp. They're like camping out in the desert, and when they like feed him and stuff, and then the night falls and he basically kills them all in a ritualistic murder, invoking Lucifer. And then it flashes forward to 1991, present day, in Germany actually, and we see another killing with somebody named Mary Crane. I don't know if that had anything to do with little nod to
her mother.
Marion Crane, yeah.
Her mother. Yeah,
couldn't think of the name from Psycho. But yeah, so then it kind of goes in another to another section where there's this old dude who almost gets hit by our lead character. She, unbeknownst, invites him to her house because we find out that he's part of this satanic or the sect cult thing, and like she falls asleep. He like releases a beetle onto her that crawls in her nose, and then turns out that under her house is like this underground cavern, and then you find out that this guy like dies, and then she chases a rabbit down there, and then she's talking to this cop dude, and then other characters are introduced, and then other things happen, and then basically like it all kind of ends in like some more weirdness where there's like a pelican thing happening, and like you get the idea that they're trying to bring the birth of the Antichrist through this woman. Wow, like this movie started off so great where I was like, oh, this is mad cool, and I still thought it was cool throughout, but this movie is like so all over the place with its story. I had trouble following it. I was like, okay, who is this now? Like, what are they doing? Why is this thing under their house? Like,
what a fucking surprise. Another Italian film that you couldn't fucking follow.
Can you follow this one?
This one actually is ridiculously all over the place, man. I've always said that this is Suave's like definitely, it's not even a terrible film, it's just not his best at all.
I really liked it, but I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
like it's beautifully shot. There are some great shots in this film, and there's some really just odd things that are going on. I feel like the biggest problem with this film is it's over 2 hours long. 100%. I say this all the time, but this film does not need to be over 2 hours long. If this was a 90-minute movie, dude, I think it would be much, much better, because you would get all these weird things that are happening in it, but it would be condensed, so it wouldn't feel as, confusing. There's a lot of downtime, and it wouldn't feel as confusing because it would just be on to the next thing.
It's essentially fucking Italian Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I get the main point of it.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how, first of all, the ending was really weird. Like, I was confused with that.
The ending, I don't think makes sense, actually. I can't make sense. I've actually even looked into it. Like, nobody can make sense of it.
Yeah, it's like, if you just read the Wikipedia page, start from the top, and it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs going through the plot. If you just read it, you're going to be scratching your head by the end of it and be like, wait, what? Like, it's seriously, like, really hard to follow, but there was really cool stuff happening in it. Like, there's all these, like, weird, I guess, like the pelican thing, the gore with the pelican was weird. Like, there's all this just strange shit that's happening in the movie, and it's hard to follow, but it is entertaining. Like, I really did enjoy this movie, because I truly think like, okay, if they cut this down to 90 minutes, I think it would be easier to follow. But also, you could see in the film that the director really does have an eye for cinema. Maybe not for writing or whatever, but this was written by Dario Argento, Sauvé, as well as another person. So maybe too many hands in the pot. I don't know. But I think that I was making this consideration that I think if Sauvé would have directed, let's say, like 15 films, like somebody like Argento or something, people would talk about him much more in the lines of like one of the GOATs. You know what I mean? Because even like this film being a complete mess plot wise is still very beautiful, and like still very intriguing throughout, even though by the end of it you're kind of disappointed because you don't know really what happened. But I feel like if you watch it a few times, you might be able to pull some more things similar to like Cemetery Man or something like that. But I think I've liked all of his films, even with the problems that this has. I still very much liked it. Has he done any more horror besides the 4 that I've now seen?
No, not film wise. He directed a documentary about Dario Argento, but it's not a film. So yeah, like actual film wise, no. I think this was his last film. Oh no, it would be Cemetery Man, right? What year did Cemetery? Oh yeah, Cemetery Man was 95. That's right. Yeah, the Sect's 91. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of ranking them, I would probably say that this is the least good to watch. But I think that it's technically directed better than like something like maybe like The Church. But I'm not sure. Like I The Church has a little bit of issues too. Apparently the Sect kind of connects with The Church a little bit. I was reading online with like the actual Sect being the same sect from The Church or something like that. You guys know anything?
I remember reading stuff. I can't
it's been a while since I've seen either film. So.
I can't remember like how it connects or I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, so it's hard to like kind of make sense of this movie. I truly did enjoy watching it, even though I did pause it halfway through because I was like, okay, this movie is really long. But it is a Blu-ray that I got from, I guess, Doppelganger / Scorpion, and the Blu-ray looks great. Have you guys got a chance to see the Blu-ray yet?
I have not grabbed this one yet.
No,
these are super cheap. These Doppelganger releases, they're like $15, man.
Yeah, they're 25 here, but I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you how the transfer was on that because I have the Shameless Blu-ray, and it's okay. The transfer is not the greatest. So
yeah, I would say the transfer was pretty good, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
But I still have The Church to get to, which is the last one that they did. I think that's the last that they announced for those like sort of Italian ones that they were doing.
Yeah, Opera, The Church, and The Sect.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. But yeah, dude, like I don't know. I think I'm gonna come in at about a 7 on this one. It definitely has problems, but maybe I felt like it. Like now talking to you, like I could. It actually makes more sense that I didn't understand it. But at first, I thought I just maybe wasn't picking up some shit.
No, the narrative is very strange. I've always said like this one, compared to his other films, is I don't know what was going on with the script. It's really strange. I mean, I guess you could say the same about Cemetery Man, but that narrative is just a lot stranger. This one is supposed to be a little more straightforward, but it's just not. I think that's the problem with this film. Right, it has this whole Rosemary's Baby thing going on, but there's so much imagery and so much metaphors and all this other shit that's going on in there, and then topped off by this ending that makes literally no sense.
Yeah, so, I mean,
I don't know.
And to go back to the Blu-ray quality too, Moods, like, I really think that it's a real, like, I would almost guarantee it's better than that Shameless release, because if I was gonna like rate it, I would give it like a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, the Shameless one. It's pretty grainy, but like not in a good way though. It seems pretty dull. Like the colors are pretty dull on it, so.
Yeah, the Blu-ray is beautiful. It's only $15.39 on Amazon in the US.
Yeah, that's incredible. Those things are so cheap. It's fucking nice.
Scorpion.
Yeah.
So is Code Red still releasing the Church?
No, The Church, I have a copy here and it's done by Doppelganger.
But they're releasing Opera still, aren't they?
Who?
Code Red?
They're releasing like the deluxe editions with like the double. With
the extra features and stuff like that.
And the slipcase and like shit like that.
The fancy ones, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was Doppelganger or if it was just Code Red releasing their own version, but they're actually doing like the.
Yeah, because the Opera Blu-ray had It said it said Scorpion on the back, and then the disc had a Code Red symbol.
Yeah.
I think that whatever they're doing with Doppelganger, they should probably continue to do it because it's letting these be released cheap, which is a huge positive to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Bill,
still have some weird deal with like fucking Kino too.
It's funny, man. You know, some of those films that are, I don't know, man. I think maybe Kino might have pulled out of that because they were supposed to be releasing a bunch of those films, and when they came out, they were
they just released 2 from Kino.
Which ones were they?
Well, they still say Code Red on them, but they're Kino distributed. Same with the doppelganger ones. Like the hell is it? Like JP was saying, like Scorpion still says Scorpion.
Yeah.
So they're still like distributed through Kino, even though they say Code Red on them.
Yeah.
Like the Emmanuel and the last, not the last Cannibals one, the one you just picked up there, the Cannibals one. What's the Emmanuel film they released?
Oh yeah, the Emmanuel, the Black Cobra one.
Yeah, it's distributed by Kino, even though it will say Code Red still.
Yeah, it actually doesn't have any Kino. See, I thought I read that Kino pulled out of that deal because if you inspect the disc and like all the specs on it and shit, there's no sign of Kino anywhere on there. Remember when Kino had?
So
remember
you
when
also
Kino
have
had their
to take into consideration though that, like the way that this doppelganger thing works is it seems like doppelganger's doing the press as well as the actual like distributing, like shipping them to like the Amazons and the places where you can buy them, but there's no sign of doppelganger anywhere on the release. Like it does not say doppelganger.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, exactly.
But you also could keep in mind that if the deal was done early enough to where they already had like discs in production for them and stuff, they're not going to cancel that all and like put just for a logo. So maybe like future releases maybe might have doppelganger on there as well, but I don't know. Maybe they.
Yeah, I mean, quite possibly
with that company.
I know when Scorpion put out a few of their titles distributed by Kino, you know, it had like the Kino in the back, but it completely looked like 100% Scorpion release, but it was just distributed by Kino, and it actually had the Kino on the back there too. So that's why I have
a few of the DVD like Code Red releases that Kino distributed, and they don't have any Kino symbols on those.
Yeah, I've got a couple of them too. Yeah, it's interesting. Cool.
Yeah, it's always weird with that fucking company.
Yeah, it is strange. I know, everything's always a fucking mystery. Something to talk about, I guess. But yeah, moving along here. Another Patreon pick here from... This was given to me by James Cokes. I believe this was actually from last month. It kind of got lost in the mix here.
Yeah, because basically, back in January, James messaged me 2 picks, and he said, "Here, these are my next 2. You guys could do them in whatever order." And it was Pan's Labyrinth and Pontypool. And I just was like, all right, well, I'll just do mine first. And I did it in January. So then I totally forgot by the time February came that you had one for February. So that's why that one was late.
Yeah. So from 2008, we have Pontypool, the Canadian film, which I always, when this movie first came out, I actually thought Pontypool was a fictional town. It actually is a real like village somewhere in Ontario. I don't know.
Really? I always wondered what it meant. I didn't even know it was a town.
Yeah, it's actually the name of the small little town. I think in the film itself, it's obviously bigger. It appears that it's bigger. From what I've read, it's like a really small village, like really tiny. So
Bruce McDonald directed this, right?
Yes. Yep. Starring, of course, Stephen McHatty's in this film. He plays...
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he plays the radio DJ in this one. And that's basically what the premise of the film is. It's about Stephen McHatty. You know, he's a radio DJ and like a radio host. And he goes to work one day and he's just doing his normal shit, man. He's just on the radio talking about whatever, doing the news and stuff. And they've got a correspondent that's out in the field. And, you know, it actually turns out that he's not even in a helicopter. He's actually just in his car, like up on a hill, you know, doing sound effects and shit like that. But this correspondent actually is the one that kind of breaks the news to the studio that something is going on in Pontypool. They can't figure out what's going on, but it seems to be people are acting strange, maybe infected by some type of disease or some crazy shit. And so it's corresponded back to the studio, and they're trying to like the first half of the film, they're trying to figure out if this is actually going on and stuff. And once they discover that, yeah, the people outside have been infected by something, they kind of quarantine. Well, they don't really quarantine. They try to figure out a way to kind of stop this thing through the radio and stuff. And also try to figure out what the fuck has caused this outbreak or this, you know, infection that's going around. So this one right here is like, it's like a contained horror film. Basically, it all takes place in this basement of this this radio studio. Very, very little characters. Steve McHattie plays a DJ. He's got a producer, and there's another girl in there also. So very, very little characters. There's also a doctor that eventually joins in the party too. But yeah, the cast is very limited in this film, but where the horror lies is in the suspense of this story, because the first half of the film, you're wondering what the fuck is going on. Like, just like as a viewer, you know, you're watching these characters going, is this shit really going on outside? Like, what the hell's going on? It's very suspenseful. It's got a really lot of good dialogue and shit. And these type of films, I've always said, in contained horror films, you have to have interesting dialogues along with interesting characters to make them, you know, to keep the viewer, you know, connected with this film. And this one manages to do that. It's really interesting. Steve McHattie has a great radio voice. He was perfectly cast in this film. He's fucking fantastic. And I really like how this one develops itself. It never feels slow, you know, for a film that is, you know, contained and it's just all dialogue. You know, there's not really a lot of action, crazy things. There's no special effects going on and shit. You know, this one runs over 90 minutes. It holds its own. It's quite suspenseful and entertaining. Once the reveal happens of what is going on outside, I think it's just amazing. It's truly amazing what it is that has caused this outbreak, this you know, this infection, that it's turning people into like zombies and shit. I think it's very, very unique in itself. I don't want to give it away because it's kind of the whole point of the film, but I think that, you know, the writer of this film did a really good job kind of taking a look around it as surroundings and realizing that there's so many films, there's so many infection films, there's so many zombie films that are doing similar things. Now, he took what he was seeing and he just went a totally different way with it, with an infection idea. And I think it's very unique, very, very unique. I mean, it works in the film for what it is. They even go as far as to try and explain how this infection is even happening to people within the film. And I think that's really ballsy too, because you could probably lose a lot of people. It's very scientific and it's very, you know, like, it's very scientific. It's crazy. I think it's fantastic, man. It's definitely one of the unique and standout infection films out there. I think everyone needs to check this one out. It's very low budget, but it doesn't appear to be. You know, it's got the great acting. It's got the great set and stuff. Very, very cool shit. But Steve McHattie just totally holds his own in this one. He's definitely the highlight of the film. That awesome radio voice, and it's such a compelling film, and you really want to see what happens in the end of this one, if they can figure it out, or, you know, exactly what happens. It's very, very interesting. So it's a hard film to review because you don't want to give anything else away about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. You know, you talk about the performances, which is really solid. I think everyone in this film that's involved does a really good job. And like I said, again, the dialogue has to be strong, and they accomplish that with the script. The narrative it moves itself along quite at a nice pace, considering it is a contained horror film. I love that. Pontypool, I'm coming in at a 9 out of 10. I think it's one of the better films of this genre, and it's amazing how many people have not seen this one. I never hear anyone talk about this film. It's interesting. But
yeah, that's actually a film that I was going to pick for our Halloween marathon that we do, where the goal is for each person involved in the marathon to pick a film that the others haven't seen, that is also going to impress. And I almost went with that one, but I went with Miss 45 instead.
Oh, well, I mean, you can't really go wrong either way there.
Yeah.
Well, two totally different films, but two exceptionally well in their own subgenres. But yeah, Pontypool, man, is an exception, man. I don't know why it doesn't get talked about more, but it's very unique in its approach and its reveal. No one's ever done this. It hasn't been duplicated sinch, and it's pretty cool.
I agree, man. Like,
check it out.
Stephen McHattie is fucking phenomenal in that movie.
Oh, he's awesome, man. You know, it's actually kind of funny, man. Me and Godzilla were at Death Wish the other night, and Stephen McHattie shows up in the film. was like, it's so random. He has like a small little part in Death Wish. I was like, that's fucking cool, man. Really
cool. He pops up in tons of movies during when I'm growing up.
He really does, man. And he's getting old too, man. He's like, he's in the 70s now, kind of thing. So,
so I guess it's back to me now. So this next film and the final film for the What We Watch segment that I'm reviewing today is a film that was made in 2017, as IMDb has it, but never got its like full release until this year. So this is going to be up for 2018 lists, I believe, if that's right, the way that you guys do it. Like a wide release, because it just got it didn't get like it got like a Blu-ray wide release. It didn't get like a theatrical release or anything like that. This is like the first time, because it was made in 2017, but it didn't come out till this year.
It was made in 2013, but it didn't come out till this year. Yeah, I mean, that's still within the...
No, it was made last year, but it didn't come out till this year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even 13.
Yeah, it doesn't matter when it was made. It just matters when it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, we did have we even talked about this, like, what was that film that just came out? Intruder was like from the 70s and it just got its first release. Like, do we count that as a new film? Probably not.
No,
so we kind of throw a statute of limitations on this.
I think we capped it off at like 7 years or something.
Yeah, you give it about a 7-year block. Statute of limitations here.
This is a fucking new movie. So, yeah, this one's The Black Gloves. From Hex Media. This is directed by Laurie Brewster. Yeah. Of course, Moods is familiar with this director. Directed Lord of Tears and The Unkindness of Ravens. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of like a brother film to Lord of Tears in a way. So, introduced to our main character of Dr. Finn Galloway, who's a psychologist. When we first meet him, he actually, what happens is he's chasing after a patient who's being chased by her uncle, and this patient, Susan, actually ends up getting killed. But as he's listening back and listening to like tapes of her, she's mentioning, seeing visions of this figure known as Moloch the Owl Man. So what ends up happening is he's doing like some investigating research to find similar cases, and one of the cases that he finds a connection to is of this ballerina known as Eliza, who was starring in like a production of Swan Lake, and it ended up like the ballroom caught on fire at the stage, and she was the only one to survive. And she actually ends up having another connection to Susan because she's actually recuperating from her sickness because she went crazy and said she had visions of the same creature as Susan, and she ends up staying at this mansion, which used to be an orphanage where Susan actually was at. So this leads to maybe there's a connection with the Owl Man with this mansion area, and he ends up going and treating Eliza. And we're introduced to Eliza, who's played by Alexandra Nicole Hume, and we're introduced to her dance instructor, Lorena Velasco, who's miraculously played by Macarena Gomez. If she's very recognizable in the horror genre, she was in The Shrew's Nest, which I believe was a Shudder exclusive, and also Dagon. She actually plays a Roland Store Gordon's Gate Dagon. That's what I know her from. And ends up becoming, Finn ends up treating Eliza and finding out more information of the connection between the Owl Man and what's going on. And we find out there might be some darker intentions ahead while these three characters. So that's all I'm going to leave the plot because I don't want to really spoil too much more like the rest of it. But really great fucking cinematography. This one, not in color, it's in black and white, which adds to like the way the credit sequence is, because it's very noir style when you see the opening credits. It goes back to like early like Hitchcock and like film noir, and even the music is very reminiscent. And then when it gets to the mansion part where it gets very atmospheric and very gothic sudden, very Baba, and that type of like haunted house feel that, you know, I know Mean Moods and it has a very psychological aspect. With the three characters, it becomes like a cat and mouse game between all three of them, including like Velasquez and Galloway, who kind of have like this weird like triangle with Eliza. So yeah, it's very interesting. The third act, it has a lot of like hints to like what made Lord of Tears so great in my opinion, and it has a lot of great like scares and creepiness to it, like some fucking creepy moments where like slow-mos and just the fucking whole like fucking third act. There's a fucking creepy scene that involves Swan Lake in a way that makes this film what it is. It's very well shot, really well choreographed. The acting's great. Jamie Scott Gordon, who plays Galloway, who starred in all three of Laurie Brewster's films, does a terrific job. And like I said, the interaction between all three of them, great cast, especially for a small contained film, because the majority of the second and third act of this film takes place in this one setting. I loved it. Awesome shit. 9.5 out of 10. The Black Gloves. Support Laurie Brewster and Hex Meteor. They just do a terrific job.
So does this one have a similar aesthetic to it, like the first film, Lord of Tears? Does it have that kind of Hammer feel to it?
It does, but it's in black and white, and it has like a Mario Bava type vibe too with the black and white.
Oh yeah. So does it have, you know, because like how I described Lord of Tears before, it has this like Hammer approach to it. It's very Hammer looking and aesthetic and stuff, and then it has a little bit of like offbeat, you know, Japanese influence type style, a little bit to it.
Yes, without giving too much away.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of okay. That's cool. That's cool that he stuck with that too. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it has a lot of homages to like film noir too, since it's done in that style of black and white.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
All right. So my final pick for the night is my lone Patreon pick this week. And this one is coming from Edgar Sanchez, the homie. Very big supporter of ours. I believe he also supports all of our videos as well, which I greatly appreciate.
He does.
Yeah, he's a heavy commenter on the videos, and it seems like he's a really big supporter. So I appreciate you, homie. You're awesome. And he gave me an easy one this week. Wait a minute. What year did this come out? That's definitely the wrong year, right?
I didn't know the name of the movie.
I wrote down the wrong year. I wrote down 1986, but yeah, it's 1988's The Blob.
Oh yeah.
This is Blob remake, because I was about to say, wait a minute, there's no way that this film didn't pop up on anybody's 86 list.
Because it would.
Yeah, so it's 1988 remake of the 1958 Blob film. Apparently there was another Blob film in there
starring
too.
Steve McQueen. Yeah.
Yeah, this one is a movie I've seen a handful of times. I think I've probably seen it about 3 times now. This was probably the 4th time. So directed by Chuck Russell. And starring Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith. I remember a quote from Moods that Kevin Dillon's plumage was great in this movie.
It's beautiful.
I think that he said that before on the podcast. Yeah. But The Blob follows a group of teenagers who are in sort of a small town, and there's a meteorite that comes out of the sky. Seems like there's like a vagrant, like homeless dude that goes up to it, and he like touches it. It goes all over his hand. They take him to the hospital. It consumes him. It spreads. It eats things. It gets bigger. The twist in this one, not to give too much away, but you're kind of debating on whether this actually came from the sky, like from space, or it's something else. And yeah, so the first and foremost thing about The Blob 1988 is that the special effects are top notch, some of the best ever in terms of like what they were able to do. Like I still watch this and have no idea like how they did some of this stuff. It looks like you couldn't do like some of the ways the Blob like jumps out and grabs people and like consumes over their arms and stuff and pulls that guy down through the sink. Like it's just like, how the hell did they? I still don't know. Like it's just crazy. I don't even want to know. Like I don't want to know, because then I'll start noticing like how they did it. To me, it's just like a masterful, wonderful effects driven film. I like the characters. I like Shawnee Smith. I like Kevin Dillon. I like the kids in this one. One of my favorite scenes in this entire movie, which just screams 80s, is when the two teenagers are at the pharmacy and they're getting condoms, and the one dude, like the preacher or like the reverend or whatever from the town, comes up and he's like, oh yeah, these aren't for me, they're for him over there. And like the dude doesn't realize what he's doing, and he's just like, come on man, I can't keep this girl waiting. And it turns out that the girl is the preacher's daughter. That's revealed later. It's just one of the best gags. It's hilarious. I laugh every time because it's just like awkward teenage situations like that I love. Yeah. The movie is great. It really is. Now, I personally like the 58 version better. Which is, I know, it's pretty crazy, right? It's pretty crazy to say that. I do not think the 58 version is better. I just like it more. And I don't know why. This one has got a lot more cool effects and stuff. I think that the what kills this one for me, not kills it because it's still a highly rated film, but the part that I don't like about this movie is the third act. It loses me every time. Like, I'm kind of just bored by it. I don't know. It just it gets like too fast-paced action-y feeling almost for me, where I liked when it was like this small like horror movie at first. I think that's why I like the 58 version a little bit more. But still, I got to rate this one high. I'm looking at my past rating of it, and I gave it a 9 the last time. I'm going to slightly drop it down to an 8.5 this time, based on that third act.
I can't believe you like the original Blob better. It's crazy.
It's that Burt Bacharach song, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that song. But no, I don't know. Like, the 58 version just seems kind of scary to me, I guess. Like, the whole like opening and stuff, like, I don't know, when I first seen it just was like creepy.
But this one's got Kevin Dillon's plumage, man.
Yeah, it does.
It's like no movie. It's never been duplicated. It's the most beautiful plumage ever.
It has the black guy from Crossroads gonna suck down a drain pipe.
Yeah, I do agree though, man. The effects are just outrageously good in that film. Some of the best, man. It's good shit, man. But as much as I like the original Blob, man, the remake it's my shit.
Yeah, it is one of your favorite, films, isn't it?
Yeah, man, I love it. It's fun shit.
Yeah, Frank Darabont wrote that movie.
Oh yeah,
that's right, he did. All right, so moving along here. Another Patreon pick, and this one is coming from Mark Lethem. And he gave me the 2012... In IMDb, it says Lesson of the Evil. I swear the Blu-ray just says Lesson of Evil. Does it not, Derek? Does the cover not say Lesson of Evil? And then...
Yeah, it's Lesson of Evil.
Yeah, so in IMDb, it says Lesson of the Evil. And same with Letterboxd, it says Lesson of the Evil, so I don't know what fucks up with that. But
maybe just translation.
Could be.
Is this all your Patreons for the month?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I just said fuck it. Might as well do them. Yeah, this one, of course, is directed by the master himself, Takashi Miike. Enough said right there. Basically, this one follows a school teacher, a high school teacher, who is, he's kind of new at the school. He hasn't been there a whole long time, and, he's very popular with the students, and most of the other teachers and stuff really like him. He's a very handsome guy, and he just has this charisma about him that everyone just kind of gravitates to. Of course, there is one teacher in the school that's not really 100% convinced that, he is how he appears he is. And so this guy, is kind of digging deeper into his past and stuff. And so basically, this teacher, he's there. He's a little bit insane, which we later find out. But he wants to deal with the students in his own way, because there's a lot of shit that's going on in the school. This is made in 2012. It's in the era of cell phones and shit. And there's a lot of, cheating going on, and just a lot of bad shit that's going on in the school and stuff. And now he's set out to teach the students a lesson, pretty much. So my thoughts in this film, You know, and very typical Takashi Miike fan, you know, this movie is really long. It runs over 2 hours. It's 2 hours and 9 minutes long. But Miike does not hold back at all in this story. It's just fucking insane. This might be one of the most insane third acts in the history of cinema.
It's fucking amazing.
Okay, so the first hour of this film is the story of this teacher. We're following him. We're following a bunch of the students. We're following this teacher that's kind of investigating him. We learn a lot of things about the teacher and why he's there, and you know, and all this kind of dark shit that's going down. And it's just this huge build up to where it kicks into the third act, where basically these students are staying the night in the school. They're preparing to they're setting up this haunted house, and that's when he basically completely snaps and decides to take matters into his own hands, and he goes in there, and we got a full-on fucking massacre. Now, this movie is very, very relevant in today's society. I mean, this is a Japanese film, but this shit, it's kind of like the reverse role of what's going on in the U.S. right now. Like, how many school shootings has there been this year? Like 20 already? You know, It's just very, very sad. But this storyline is the reverse. This is a teacher taking out students, and just the most brutal fucking fashion ever. Now, I'm 100% convinced that this is actually going to happen one day. You know, all these students coming to school and shooting up their fucking schools. You know, it's just happening over and over again. One of these days, a teacher is just going to have enough, and he's going to open fire on his class. That's what we get in this film. It's insane. There is literally 47 or 48 on-screen deaths in the last hour of this film, and it's just pure carnage, man. We're talking fucking heads exploding. Like, remember, these are high school kids, man. High school kids just getting tagged off. It's just a masterpiece of violence, man. It's a character study. There's a lot of deeper stuff that's going on in this film. I really like the fact that, you know, they threw a lot of German, you know, kind of culture in this film. There's German music in this film, and, you know, a little bit of German mythologies and things like that. They kind of threw that into the film too, which is very interesting, because I didn't really know a lot. I was reading up on it after, and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's what they were talking about. That's German. Okay, that's really cool. But yeah, it's actually a really interesting story until it just goes batshit crazy in this one. Everyone's got to see this movie, man. It's fucking insane. This might be one of the most violent movies I've ever seen in my life. I love it. I can't think of another movie that's just so damn harsh and brutal. Like, I mean, there is comic relief in this. There is some funny ass parts in this movie, which were intentional.
I just love when he starts singing "Mac the Knife."
Exactly, Mac the Knife. Yeah, and exactly. But yeah, there's a little bit of comic relief in this. Like most Takashi Miike films, they always have those kind of moments in the film that are kind of funny. They're intentional. But it's just an insane ride, man. Insane. This is one of those films that you can't even describe well enough. You know, you just got to see it for yourself. It's crazy. It's insane. I absolutely love this movie. I'm coming in at a 9.5 out of 10. I think this one, it's just, I probably would have came in perfect on this one, but it's just a tad bit long.
Yeah, you know what, dude? Takashi Miike is a filmmaker that I've always kind of strayed away from, even though I like every movie that I've seen from him.
Yeah.
But it's his running times just scare me off. It's like, oh, I want to watch as many Takashi Miike films as I can, but it seems like every one is damn 2 hours plus.
Yeah. I mean, this film is a little bit forgivable because the first hour is pretty interesting with what he's teaching and getting the backstory and all this crazy shit that's going on. And you're kind of wondering if it's like a psychological thing or if he's just, you know, there's all these things that are going on. But the last hour, you've never seen a third act so fucking long in your life. Right? Like most third acts are short, right?
I have. It's called 13 Assassins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 13 Assassins for sure. But most films have like a short third act, you know, within, you know, 20. This one is a full hour of just visceral violence, man. It's so fucking brutal, man. It's just amazing to see. It's insane when you really put into perspective how many kids he just blatantly fucking tags out, and like it is in brutal.
Awesome.
It's in brutal fashion too. Like there's a scene.
We need to do a Takashi Miike show. Really.
There is a scene
kind of slacking on that
where he is on this. he's on the stairs of the school. Like actually when the whole massacre starts is actually pretty amazing too. But there's this scene on the stairs that just make you fucking, you're just watching it going, God damn, he is not pulling any strings here, man. It's fucked. Like there's okay, so he's actually reloading, and that's another cool thing about the film. He's reloading constantly because he's using a shotgun. So it's not one of those just like he's got an endless array of bullets in this gun. He's constantly So in the scene where he's actually reloading, there's a girl that's kind of up on this on the top of the stairs. He just like grabs her and fucking throws her off the stairs. Like it's the stair, it's the bottom. I'm just like, and he does it so nonchalantly. I'm just like, this movie is the best ever.
It's perfect casting. That guy is like during the first hour, his performance is great, and then when he gets to like the over the top violent shit. It's he fucking makes it over the top, and it just works for it. It's perfect.
And
casting.
It's not even like that. It's not that typical Japanese over the top kind of I would say comic book violence. It's like realistic too.
Yeah, it's very realistic.
You're just like, holy! That's what makes it so crazy to watch, man. It's insane, man. But like in typical Takashi Miike fashion, like he throws in some very strange things. Like if you've seen Dead or Alive or any of these other type movies, like shit just goes weird in his films. Like there's a scene where he's holding his gun and it's doing some crazy ass shit. Very Takashi Miike. So if you're a fan, you got to check this movie out. It's definitely one I hear nobody talk about. Absolutely.
I reviewed this a while ago, and
this is the second time I've watched this. I've had the Blu-ray for I don't know a couple years, I guess, or whenever Dylan he actually picked it up for me.
He actually picked me up mine too.
Yeah, he's like, dude, because he had watched this film a few years ago, and then he's like, it doesn't have a release. Then he found it from Third Window Pictures, and so he bought everyone a copy. He's like, you guys need to see this fucking movie. So it was actually one that Dylan introduced me to. But yeah, upon a second watch, it still holds up, man. It's so damn violent and amazing. 9.5 out of 10. Takashi Miike, he's still the fucking man.
Yes, he is.
And now, our feature presentation.
Oh, yeah, getting into the featured reviews here on episode 131, also known as Irish Horror. I'm just going to go on a limb here and say Volume 1. We'll probably end up doing another. Who knows? We're not going to title it that, though.
Most likely.
But we'll probably end up doing
I will title it that probably.
Okay, so
because I think we titled Ozploitation Volume 1 as well. I'm not sure.
Which we need to go back to do some more Ozploitation for show. So these three, which we did mention off the top of the show, were picked. These were Patreon picks. Derek, you picked
this one.
Yes, you picked Isolation, and then of course we also have The Canal and Byzantium. 3 different films. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
stuff.
very different.
Very different. So, but yeah, first up here from 2005, Derek's pick, Isolation. Quick little synopsis on it. On a remote Irish farm, 5 people become unwilling participants in an experiment that goes nightmarishly wrong. Yeah. So, thoughts on Isolation?
Well, first thing I wanted to bring up real quick is the director of this movie, Billy O'Brien. This is like his first feature-length film.
Yes.
Did Ferocious Planet was a Sci-Fi Channel movie after?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've seen The Hybrid, though. That was the car one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also heard that I'm Not a Serial Killer was actually pretty good. I didn't get around to checking that one out in 2016.
Oh, that one's awesome.
Yeah,
it's from the same director.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I actually really like that movie.
I started that fucking movie on Netflix, I think, twice, and I got 2 minutes in both times. Now
that I know that it's the same director, there's definitely some similar beats now that I think about it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but this one has a cool cast. For Irish actors, Sean Harris, who was in Prometheus. He's that the boyfriend of the girl in the trailer. Very distinct look. If you recognize him in movies, if you see him. And John Lynch, who plays Dan, the main character, Irish actor. I most notably know him from Black Death, and for Irish movies in general, he was in Some Mother's Son, where he played Bobby Sands. If you know that story, so the hunger strike and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus it has Essie Davis, who was in the Babadook. This is a young Essie Davis who plays the veterinarian in this movie.
Oh yeah, shit, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring a little light of some of the cast because it's a very small cast. I like this movie because it's very contained because it all takes place on like this farm.
Yeah, which eventually, I mean, they even throw in the fact that it gets quarantined also, so it even has that even more contained, isolated feel to it. So, JP, what were your initial thoughts on this? This was the first time watch for you, right?
Yeah, all three of these films tonight were first-time watches, which I was very happy to do because my Irish horror knowledge is kind of lacking. I've maybe seen like 4 or so Irish horror films, so this almost like doubles my Irish.
That's almost 25% of the total Irish films.
Yeah. There's not a ton.
Yeah.
There's not a ton. But first of all, this film does a lot of things that I like right off the bat. It's kind of a contained mystery almost. Like you're kind of wondering, okay, where's this going? Like you start seeing bad signs right away when a woman sticks her hand inside a cow and says that the unborn calf is bitter. And you're like, oh, okay, that's definitely not normal. I'm pretty sure.
Definitely, yeah.
So right away, I was kind of down with it. I was like, okay, this is like right up my alley. These sort of contained creature feature monster movies. Love that stuff.
Yeah.
I will say that I do think this one could have benefited greatly from like G coming in that does effects and actually create some good monsters or creatures for this one. I felt like it left a little to be desired with the creature feature type of movie that it's setting itself up as. Like the idea of like mutated cow exoskeleton monsters is kind of weird to begin with, but I truly think it could work if they had some really good effects in there. The story itself is really like okay, like I'm down with it. I like everything, the setup. I like the suspense that they kind of have in there a little bit, but I feel like this movie is like a great creature feature without a great creature.
Well, that's kind of my main problem with the film also. Like I really like this film, and you know the story is, you know, it's kind of cool when you're dealing with like genetic modifications. And,
it's simple enough, but accept.
See right there when you're dealing with, you know, genetic modifications and playing God yourself. I think anything's possible. So having the exoskeleton monsters and shit is totally viable. You know, it makes sense that might happen, you know, whatever. But I do agree, man, because I've seen this film a couple times now, and that was my biggest complaint when I first watched it. Also, was this film builds up like it should have like this, you know, it should have a monster, like a you know, like a fully matured, you know, kind of monster, and have that battle at the end where it doesn't really get that, you know, which is kind of unfortunate because the setup is there. You know, they say
it's like the perfect description of this movie is a great creature feature monster movie without a great creature feature or without a great creature or monster.
It's almost like it's 2/3 of the movie, right? You know, you're just kind of waiting for it to get to that third act where that monster's finally matured into this huge thing, and then you have your showdown kind of thing, but it never kind of gets there, and it's a little bit underwhelming. Yeah,
because there's some good gore. Like there's still some gore involving like cows' bodies and you know, little like gross looking things, but a lot of it's shot very close up too, and you don't get a great look at any of the gore for the most part.
That is true.
Yeah, like a lot of the kills are off camera. Besides like the ones that are actually not done by like the creature itself.
Yeah, I mean to be honest, I mean when they kill the calf with the, you know, the cat or the cow gun, I'm just like, I mean, I can deal with that being off screen a little bit because that's such a brutal scene too, because she shoots it and it doesn't die right away, and you can hear it like screaming and shit. I'm just like, fuck, man.
You know? I felt bad for little cows.
I know, but I do like, okay, so the overall premise of the film, I do really like this whole kind of playing God, dealing with, you know, genetic modifications and the shit going wrong.
Yeah, the whole concept is that they want to basically increase the rate of which calves are born so that they can essentially make more meat, which means they can up their profit margins in a faster time. But So, but like, it's kind of an interesting concept because what happens is a cow is pregnant, but the calf that is a baby comes out pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell? You know?
They almost
like multiple. Like,
they sped it up
it's
too
like
much.
Gremlins.
Yeah, they sped it up too much, and it kind of fucking backfires on them. But I like the whole the whole idea of, you know, they basically kill the calf, and then they kill they get all of the little pregnant monsters or the little monsters and shit, except for one gets away.
Which really don't look like anything.
Well, because they're
looks like a shrimp.
Because they're exoskeleton, and they kind of look like
they're like exoskeleton embryos. It's like they're just a glob of mush with like kind of like spiny looking things.
Yeah, it almost looks
it was a little disappointing. Like I like where their head was at. I like where they were like kind of going with the concept of them, but it doesn't look like anything.
Yeah, I mean that's probably due to the film being super low budget, also. Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I will give him credit. I will give him credit because, you know, this is a mid-2000s film, and this is like right in the glory years of bad CG'd film, low budget films. Yeah. And they opted to not take that route, and they did the effects themselves, which is, you know, you can see in the budget. You're right. I mean, it's not.
Had they had more money, maybe a little bit more time,
we probably would have got a showdown.
Yeah.
We probably would have got that big monster, but I mean, for what they did with the budget and these little, I mean, they are unique in themselves because you don't see a lot of creatures like that. It kind of looked like, you know, someone's jaw kind of running around. I don't know. It seemed like it was like almost like teeth.
I did like the close up of the eye of the creature. That was probably the best thing about the creature. Yeah, like it showed like that close up of its eye and moving around and shit.
Yeah,
but you know, like for the budget, it's like the guy's first movie, so I'll give him some slack on like being like not the best effects wise.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing: no matter what cover you get of this thing, it's bad looking.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see all the DVD covers? They're so shit.
Yeah,
I'm actually looking at it right now, and it's like,
well, it's just a picture of something close up.
I don't own this film. I would definitely want to own this film, but I'm just looking at. I was looking at some of the like the UK cover and stuff. Like they all look garbage.
Oh, the UK one is just fucking disgusting.
I can't imagine this film did well anywhere.
No, probably not.
But it should have because it is solid. It's just I just think that it's held back.
You know, it's got a really. I like the location. I like the isolated feel. It's a very atmospheric film.
I love that feeling. Yeah, like there's a lot of water and like mud and just. Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, it's mostly set at night, like in the dark kind of thing, and so you get that type of feel to it. It's very foggy.
Yeah,
it feels cold too. There's actually a really strange moment in the film. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but it's obviously taking place like in the winter months or whatever, and so when they're inside and a bunch of shit goes down, they end up outside after this, you know, shit goes down, and it had snowed, but like the previous scenes leading up to that, there was no snow on the ground. Do you guys notice that?
Yeah.
I was all of a sudden it was like, whoa, it got winter out there.
Yeah. What you guys saying about it being held back, but I still like the characterizations because you do get enough of the characters to see that they have a history. Like, for example, the scenes between Dan and Orla when you see that they have a past and they're interacting with each other and they have like this quarrel with the John character, who's also a mystery because we don't really get to know, like we get to know his full intentions, but we don't get to know like the backstory of why like these things are the way they are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think that it is kind of a little weird that they chose to have this experiment on like this isolated farm and not in some like laboratory. You know what I mean?
Well, the reason why, I thought about that too actually, and I came to the conclusion that I think maybe they thought that if something were to go wrong, I mean they couldn't predict this, right? But if something were to go wrong, they're like on this isolated place and they could probably contain it. You know, if something eventually did go wrong. That's just how I interpret it. You know, if you're in a lab and this shit, you know, goes crazy in there, I mean, there's more potential to be very disastrous, kind of thing.
The tagline should have been,
because if you're fucking with life,
mad cow disease was bad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're fucking with genetic, who knows, right? You know, it's always in the back of your mind. I might create something that I might regret.
Yeah, that's why you isolate it into a lab.
No, I think I don't know, but labs are
No, that's seriously what you do, though, right? Like,
But then again,
you
like,
you
how
make
you
all
get-
these like fail safes.
I don't know, man. I mean, having fully grown cows in a lab and shit. I mean, it does kind of make sense, and they probably do experiments like that on farms and shit because they have the room. They have the room.
Well, they definitely do experiments in secured.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you gotta
depends on
remember
if
this is small town, like it's like middle of fucking nowhere.
You don't know how much like
it doesn't seem like it's that legal. It seems like they're kind of fucking doing it illegally too.
Yeah, we don't know if this John guy was working by himself. You know what I mean? And he didn't have like the funding to have like a whole lab. So because they never tell that because it's that contained. You know? What I mean?
Well, they really don't explain a lot of that to begin with.
They don't.
So.
I felt like it was kind
like
of
I'll call a little bit of bullshit on it, but it doesn't hurt the movie overall.
I feel like it was kind of shady, right?
Yeah.
So that's the impression
because he was even paying like the people that was working with him, even Dan himself and Orla were having like we haven't gotten paid yet. You know what I mean?
Who were the two that showed up in the?
Jamie and Mary.
They don't really.
Now they were just like random people, right?
See, they were on the run from something.
Because Mary's brothers didn't like Jamie because he was banging their sister, and she even says in the film, if they find him, they're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
That's why they were hiding out there because they were watching the main roads, so they were gonna wait a few days and then travel after they stopped like searching the main roads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They actually explained that, and she says that to Dan.
Yeah, but the couple or the ex couple didn't know them, right?
No, because they were just hiding in front of the farm. They was
that's just where they ended up, right? I mean,
because even he was like shooing them off, like shoo off, canker. I think
he allows them to stay after he helps birth that calf and shit. He's like, yeah, you can stay. Which is probably not the best decision they made.
kind of a gross scene as well. But it's definitely a movie that I very much enjoyed. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think that it could be better. It's a classic case of a movie that probably was held back by its budget, but still delivered. They made about probably as best of movie as they could make, given the circumstances. Like, I believe that. So, like, I don't really fault the filmmakers in any decisions because I truly feel like they probably capitalized on everything they could.
It's crazy, man. It says the estimated budget on this was £2.9 million. Fuck. That's
actually a lot.
Yeah, that's actually not that low budget for a film like this. Considering there's only like 6 characters in the whole fucking film.
Yeah, what the hell could the money have been spent on?
I don't know, man. I mean, one location, like 5 or 6 main characters, and
it was probably spent on that song they used in the end credits.
Yeah, exactly. Clearing the fucking rights to it.
Shit, I was lowering my rating by 3 points. I'm kidding.
By 3 points? Holy shit.
But yeah, you guys have much more on this one?
No, I don't want to really spoil like the ending and shit.
I mean, it's a pretty simple movie. It's fun.
Yeah.
I'll go first. I like this movie a lot. It's kind of right up my alley. Kind of reminded me of a film called Splinter, where a bunch of people are stuck in a gas station. Kind of reminded me like on the same scale as that one. Maybe a cool double feature there.
That movie's fucking awesome, man. I love Splinter.
Yeah, Splinter's fun. And this one's fun too. I really was kind of like, this could be a very off-putting concept to people, like, mutant cow movie. Like,
well, all the animal,
the best mutant cow movie out there.
All the activist groups and shit are going fuck isolation. They're trying to play God and shit. Like, just let that shit play out, naturally.
Yeah,
definitely not for those people, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also just some people might think it would come off like super cheesy too. Like mutant cows, what? But actually pretty cool. I'm coming in at a solid 7 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I'm actually with the exact same rating, 7 out of 10. I think it's pretty good for what it is. It definitely shows its budget constraints, but overall, it's actually not a bad film. I'm just very impressed that they didn't go the CG route, and that says a lot for myself. So 7 out of 10, man. I
watched these movies all out of order too. I watched this one the last.
Oh, I watched. I watched them I watched this one first, but I watched. No,
I usually watch them all chronologically.
Yeah, I watched this one last. I watched Byzantium first, and I watched The Canal second.
Yeah, I watched Byzantium because I knew it was the longest one, so I watched it last. But
yeah, I usually will try to watch the longest ones first. But I also The Canal and Byzantium were both on Netflix, so that's why I watched those two first.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah, so I like this film for what it is. Like, I'm not gonna give shit on the guy because the creature, because it's his first movie. You know what I mean? Because we see like in Ferocious Planet how it could have been fucking CGI'd out of its ass, and look, even though like it was like maybe like an early Sci-Fi Channel movie. Not really sure. It was part of the Manhunter series, the one he did. Yeah, I like the characters. You know what I mean? Like the cast is great in this. I like. They were well cast in their roles, and I really like the camera work, especially during the nighttime shots. And like, you know, like even though like there is some like mystery between things that we don't know about, like the plot and shit, and things that we do know, I still highly enjoy this one. And like even the final scene, it puts a little smile on my face, and then you hear like that fucking song at the end credits, just puts that smile even higher. So. I'm going to come in at an 8 out of 10, same rating I had before. I really enjoyed this one.
Nice. Good stuff.
22 shots.
All right. So, moving along here. Second film from 2012 titled Byzantium. No, it is not a movie about the Byzantium Empire. This is actually a vampire film. 2012 Byzantium. Quick little synopsis on it. Residents of a coastal town learn with deathly consequences the secret shared by the two mysterious women who have sought shelter at a local resort.
Yes.
Directed by
Neil Jordan.
Neil Jordan, fucking Derek's favorite director. You know, he's got a pretty interesting history of films here, man. I mean, going right back to Angel, The Company of Wolves, Mona Lisa, and of course High Spirits, what we brought up, you know, earlier in the show. The Crying Game, the famous Crying Game. Everybody knows. Probably, yeah. But you know, I think, you know, do you think he's more famous for directing The Crying Game or Interview with the Vampire?
I don't know. They were both hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Interview with the Vampire is pretty famous, man. Anne Rice story. But yeah, man, he's you know, comes out of nowhere with Byzantium. I guess he hadn't done a horror film in a while, right? I think.
Well, he did In Dreams, is kind of like psychological horror.
Dude,
you know,
I haven't seen a single one of these dudes' movies besides. I did see Interview with the Vampire, but I haven't seen it since 1995, which. Yeah. I was 4, so.
Okay, so I haven't seen In Dreams, but yeah, I was thinking this was probably his first one since Interview with the Vampire, which is kind of, you know, the connection there is the vampire stories. But, and, you know, and you can see that. I mean, if you've seen Interview with the Vampire and then you watch this movie, you can see the, you know, the storytelling is, it's not the same, but it's similar. You know, in construction.
You know what? Like, I actually remember a little bit about Interview with the Vampire, and I literally haven't seen it in over 20 years. Which is just crazy, but I do remember the movie though. Like I do, I remember certain aspects of it. I've always wanted to revisit that one.
Mm-hmm. I was always disappointed with the film because I always wanted more Christian Slater because he plays the guy doing the interview.
Yeah,
at the beginning of the film, and then you get him in the beginning and the end kind of thing. But Christian Slater at the time, I always liked that guy, man. I don't know, but
this one has a very interesting cast. Saoirse Ronan, that's how you pronounce her first name, I believe, Saoirse.
Yeah, it plays Eleanor, yeah.
Yeah, and then we're introduced to Collar, who's played by Gemma Arterton, who actually has a fun fact that's actually connected to Moods.
What?
Please tell.
She was born with 6 fingers on each hand.
Oh, no, I only had 6 fingers on one hand.
Oh, is it one?
Yeah. I had an extra toe on each foot. So I'm revealing things about myself right now that I don't think I've ever mentioned.
Yeah, you've mentioned that.
You mentioned it on the show.
Oh yeah, I did actually. Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting, man, because she is fucking like, she's sexy. Like, you know, like how some women are just like pretty and some are beautiful, some are like hot. She's fucking sexy, dude.
Wait, which girl?
The one who plays Carla, Jim Arterton.
The mom in the film.
Yeah, the mom. Yeah, she is.
She's just like, she's like sexy, man. There's something about her, like just the way her presentation.
Former Bond girl too.
Yeah, dude. Fuck, she's really, really, really attractive, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Byzantium, man. It's basically the story of these two girls, Clara and her daughter Eleanor, who have been vampires for 200 years, and this is kind of the story of them. I mean, they basically have been evading, the Brethren for a couple hundred years, because the story is that Clara, she created when she wasn't allowed to. So once you're part of the Brethren,
there's like rules to
so there's rules. So if you're in the Brethren, there's these rules, and if you break these rules, you are killed. And she did. She created, which was her daughter and stuff. So they've been on the run for like 200 years, and it kind of goes through that a little bit. But I like how they tell the story. They intertwine, like, they basically
flashbacks.
Have Eleanor's story. Like, she basically tells her story from the beginning to the present, and it kind of tells that story throughout the film through these flashbacks and stuff. And it's very interesting how the story's interwoven and shit. I really enjoyed the storytelling.
It kind of has a cool concept too, like where she's telling her story by writing it on pages and like throwing them into the wind. It's like very like poetic.
Very, very poetic. Very poetic.
Yeah.
But I like that. It's a very simple story, but it's very effective in its approach, and it's interesting too, because you don't really know exactly, like, I don't know, man. To me, it seems a little bit unpredictable, because it could end up, going one way or the other kind of thing. I like this one, man. I really like the characters. Clara, I mean, she's not necessarily the most likable character, because her profession of choice is being a whore. It was
the way that it happened to her too, though.
I definitely don't look at her as like bad, because when you see how she got into that, it's like very brimstone-y.
No, exactly. I mean, she didn't have a choice. She was kind of thrown in.
Johnny Lee Miller,
he's
a
total
fucking asshole,
total dick, man.
Piece of shit.
So she was thrown into the sex career that way, but but she keeps reliving it, throughout the whole 200 years, and that's kind of where it takes us into the present. And she basically picks up this dude at this place, and he's got this flat, and he lives in Byzantium. That's the name of this. Was once a hotel, and his mother left him his place, and it's now a an apartment building, which is that's cool, man. That fucking flat dude was so cool, man. I love that.
I like Noel as a character when we first meet him, because we see that he's like flawed and he's just lost his mother, and then he's just going along for the ride, and then it's like he's talking to Eleanor. He kind of befriends her in a way. He's like, "What is your fucking collar doing?" And fucking, I like his character. He's
he legitimately wants to help, though, because at this point, Clara and Eleanor are homeless. An event happens that kind of puts them out in the streets, and he kind of takes them in, and Clara takes it upon herself. She's like, "Wow, this is a perfect setting to set up shop to make money," which is by whoring out other girls and stuff. And meanwhile, all this is happening.
Yeah, they set up a brothel.
Yeah, we're getting the whole story of Eleanor and the whole history of like how they were turned into vampires and who the people are chasing them and things like that. And it's just
I love the flashback stuff. I'm a sucker for that. And like whenever what's the one movie?
Great
Queen of the Damned. Queen of the Damned.
Yeah.
I love the flashback way more than anything that's happening in the actual movie. Like I feel like vampires just go so well with like either the Victorian era or any type of eras.
Like a lot of films seem to have that time period, in the early 1800s or the late 1700s is when they were turned into vampires. It's just that era. And
I just love the concept of somebody being around 200 years. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because there's so much story. There's so much story, and they really tell that with great emotion in the film too. There's a great scene between Eleanor and Caleb Landry Jones, who
Frank,
who appears in this film too, which is I fucking love that guy. I think he's a great actor, and she's kind of telling him it's like, you know, you see his story in the film is that he's actually been dying of like leukemia and shit like that, and that's the contrast, right there. You know, she's immortal and he's dying type thing, right? And she's basically trying to tell him in so many words that, you know, it's not really the greatest thing to be immortal, like, because, you know, everything just passes you by, right? You stay here.
I always call bullshit on that in real life. Like, that's probably my biggest problem with most vampire films is I think that being a vampire would be fucking sweet.
Well, I can see where she's coming from, though, because when you think about it, like, if you get in... This is why, like, in, you know, vampire mythology, it's hard for vampires to get attached to people because, well, for obvious reasons, they, you know, might eat them or some shit, but...
And they don't age.
And they don't...
The other person does.
That, but it's also because they don't want... Because they still have emotions, right? And what happens is they stay the same age, and then these people die and, you know, grow old and die. And that's kind of what they're talking about in this film too. It's, you know, 200 years of, you know, being around people. Well, they try to paint
vampires as tragic beings, but I just don't like.
But it is a tragedy though, because they didn't choose this life. They didn't choose this life, so it is technically a tragedy.
But I'm just saying, like, if it was real, I would choose that life. Like, if it, like, that's why I always wanted to make a vampire movie that kind of that made it showcase how hard it is to be a vampire, because there's so many different things that can kill you, even though you can live forever, to really focus on the idea that so many things can kill you. Like, it's actually harder to live as a vampire and not die than it is a human.
And you know, that actually brings me to a point I wanted to make. I like the mythology of these vampires too. They don't really get into it too much, but it's apparent that, you know, they're not those stereotypical vampires that can't be in the daytime and only feed at nighttime thing. They walk around in the day. They never really touch.
I didn't really like that. I think that vampires should always not be allowed to walk around in the day.
Like how the mythology from vampire films changes like that. Because I
like that people change mythology. I just don't like that change ever.
Well, it's not really a change, because it happened even in the original novel of Dracula. You walked during the day too.
Yeah, but I don't like it.
Yeah, see,
I love it.
I kind of do, man. Like, I like the, you know, the old-fashioned vampire mythology where vampires, if, you know, struck by the sunlight, the UV rays will burn them up. I think that's fantastic folklore, you know, mythology. I think that's great. But having a vampire on the flip side who can walk in the UV rays and can hunt during the day and night and just act like a normal person puts a whole nother spin on it too, because, like you said, you were talking about how vampires can die in so many different ways. Well, this adds to it, because now their availability to be killed is the danger is just so much heightened now that they're around in the daytime also.
No, it's actually lessened.
Why?
Because the sun can't kill them, which is the hardest thing to avoid being a vampire.
I'm referring to the fact that they can be around more in the daytime. Like, they're exposing themselves to the everyday potential hazardous in lives and shit like that. Where a vampire that only comes out at night is only around for 10 hours, right? But they can technically be around 24 hours a day, and they're just subjecting themselves to the natural dangers of the society that we live in. You know, they're already
really doesn't affect them that much, because they can only be killed certain ways.
True.
It's not like if they get hit by a car.
I just like that though, because, you know, you have these daytime scenes, you have these nighttime scenes. I don't know. It's a nice little contrast.
Well, we know one way that kills them. Decapitation definitely works.
Dude,
decapitation's classic.
It
was fucking awesome.
That's one of the best decapitations in a long time, man. It's just so fucking vicious, man. It's awesome. I love that shit. It's good stuff.
Okay,
man.
So what's up with the mountain?
What do you mean?
Like, why is it like rain blood?
I think it's like a mystical thing, maybe like.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it has something to do with. It's kind of like the. I actually don't really know how to explain it, because the way I've thought of it is that's kind of where the vampirism comes from. Like, that's where you're actually being fully changed into it, I guess, or something. I don't know if it's metaphorical or what exactly they're trying.
I think
to
it
accomplish.
is metaphorical. Like, I don't know if it actually.
But they don't show it to you as metaphorical, do they? Like
well, they show you going into this hole, which I suspected was like the vampire, you know. And so you go into this hole, and then that's when you're turned. And I think the blood coming out is just it's like the verification that you are now a vampire.
So in this film, it's like magic.
In a sense.
Kinda.
In a sense, yeah. And I think that's how I interpret it. I'm not 100% sure if that's what Neil...
See, I was hoping that, like, when they first showed it, I was hoping, because I think they first show it in a flashback, I was hoping that it was going to be like a legend thing, where it's like they're just showing you the story of this place, and it's not actually doing that. But it seems to be actually doing that from what I could tell.
See, for me, it plays out like it's the origin of, well, however you want, the vampirism or the disease or whatever you want to call it.
I kind of get it where it's like the
because it's on an island, right?
Yeah.
There's no like
normal
person would see it because it's just a like direct map to it. You know
yeah,
what I
like
mean?
you have to know where this is. Like people can see the island, but you don't know that's there. Like it's kind of magical in that sense.
I love that though, and in fact, if you really look closely at it, it just looks like some sort of like filter thing that's placed over the sections of the water.
Yeah, the effects on that aren't that great. Yeah, I agree.
I would have cut that out of the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't love that.
No, that's.
If you just explain it as like magic, hey, in this movie, this is the process of becoming a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, that every vampire film can create its own mythology. It's not like sacred and changeable. Like some vampire films have different mythology and how you become a vampire.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the end of the film. Well, towards the end of the film, where Frank's character goes into there, and then that happens, kind of thing. Like, was that like is that the end process of him turning into the vampire? Probably, because Eleanor actually did drink from him, and I would assume that he was infected, but he's not fully turned yet. I don't know how that works. They don't really go into it at all.
Well, it seems like you have to go there to become a vampire, right?
Yeah, but like it seemed like, when she was drinking his blood, turning him by, because he'd actually...
You would think if they didn't want people to do that, like if it was illegal, they would put up guards or something, right?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
If this is magical, mystical, like this is the only way to become a vampire. It's like, by the way, you guys are not allowed to use this.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to leave it wide open.
Yeah. But I really do like the way the whole story is told in this film, with the Reverend chasing him. Like that whole plot doesn't take away from, the present day story that's going on too. It's a perfect blend of mixing the two plots together. I find one doesn't overtake the other one. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that. They don't go too much. Like, I feel like the flashbacks in the story being told in the narrative it's like a perfect blend. And sometimes in these films it's hard to do. You get more of like, you get more of the period piece, more of the backstory, and then not enough of this. But I feel like the balance here is so well done. It's really, really well done. Like, you don't even feel like you're watching period pieces. Like, somebody like Jeremy, he'd be like, fuck those period pieces, man. I hate them.
I think I like that stuff more than I actually like the regular movie.
Yeah, but don't you feel there is a pretty decent balance there, though? In some...
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I don't think that either one outweighed the other.
No, I think it was actually a really good balance. I like that in the storytelling, too. I mean, if you take Interview from the Vampire, if you use that as an example... I mean, it starts in the present day, right? And then the whole movie is the story. Totally different structure, but I like this. It's cool.
Yeah, and another thing that I really liked about this, there's a scene that actually calls back to the Crying Game where Carla and the pimp are on the island, on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
And there's this song playing in the background. It's very reminiscent to the scene from the Crying Game at the very beginning, where they're at the pier.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of shot similar to, and it has like that backdrop of just having a song played in the background, which is classic like Neil Jordan style.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Huh. I haven't seen the Crying Game since I had it on VHS back in the day. So I honestly do not remember, man. I honestly do not remember. Another thing I like about this movie is the vampires aren't comic book vampires. They don't have that like over the top, insane, super inhuman strength, and they're not flying around turning into bats and stuff. They keep it very leveled in this. They make it realistic. I like that.
Yeah.
You know.
I like Eleanor, how she feeds, because she's not like, like going after like anybody. She's like looking for like the people that want to be like what ends up happening to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of her character, though, right? Because she was turned by her selfish mom, and and I like that story though too. How Eleanor really doesn't care for her mom that much because she did this.
Yeah,
to
she's
her.
Ungrateful.
Yeah, she's ungrateful.
She's an ungrateful little bitch. I much rather side with the mom.
Yeah, but like
I like Eleanor.
She's sitting there giving away the secrets to fucking some dude. It's like, yo, do you not realize we're a secret coven of vampires on the run?
It's because
be telling people about this.
She loves him. She ends up falling in love with him.
She's spiting
She's
spiting her mom, man. When you've been around for 200 years, I think you might want to tell a story too. Could you imagine holding in a juicy secret for 200 fucking years and not telling anybody?
Plus, she's just sick of fucking running too. She even says it. I'm sick of being on the fucking run.
Yeah, and that's
I'm sick
part
of
of
you
it.
bitching. Okay,
it is true. I mean, think about it. 200 fucking years
of running from this fucking brother.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
I think I'd be fine. I'd get to see all these different places. I'd be cool. And if I don't, I don't know. If you don't want to run anymore, don't run and just get caught.
Plus, this is like the callback to it too, because the town they actually end up in is the town where Eleanor was actually in the orphanage. Because she's like, we've been here before.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually really cool. I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
So it's where her story fucking began.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is true.
So ratings.
Moods. When'd you go?
Yeah, man, Byzantium. I love this movie. When I did a video a long time ago of modern vampire films, and this one was pretty high up on my list.
I swear to God, I thought you reviewed this film on here before, but I don't see it in the ratings.
I thought I did too, actually. I could have sworn I talked. Maybe I just talked about it or something. But yeah, man, I really like the way the story's told in this. It's very elegant. It's very serious. It's got really great acting in it. I think everyone does a great job. It's got really good locations. It's shot beautifully. I mean, there's not really a whole lot wrong with this movie at all. I think it's awesome. I think it's one of the better modern vampire films out there. I mean, it's not that this isn't the film to see if you're expecting just a gore fest, kill after kill, just kind of tasteless and mindless vampirism. This one actually has a story, and it has a lot of, it has lots of stories going on. There's a lot of emotion in this film, and that's what really sells it to me. You feel Eleanor's pain, I mean, she was brought... I'm just thinking JP, ungrateful little bitch. But yeah, she doesn't want to be this person, and I love that about this, man. I'm coming in at 9 out of 10. Byzantium. I think it's fantastic. Actually, another really cool thing. I love the fact that the building that they're in is called Byzantium. It used to be a hotel, but they never took the sign down. That is the coolest shit. So you're living in this apartment that has this old hotel sign of Byzantium, and it's just totally kick-ass looking, and it's in this really kind of odd area of town too, right? It's this one big building and everything is kind of smaller and shit. I love that. I think it's fucking awesome. But I'm very jealous of those flats though. Having 2 floors, that's fucking cool, man. Cool shit. I like it.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's actually my 3rd time watching it, so it was good to revisit on me. I love Neil Jordan as one of my favorite directors. I like how he uses locations and the way he uses the way he shoots certain locations, and it shows in this film, especially the scenes where they're at the mountain and the piers and the cliffs and the beaches. I like how he shoots certain aspects of those scenes. I love the characters, Eleanor and Clara. They clash. I like the contrast between them, and I like the relationship that Eleanor builds with Frank, and it's just a tremendous little love story inside tragedy of knowing with their vampires and being on the run by this brotherhood, which actually the title of this movie, Byzantium, actually has 2 different meanings why it's called Byzantium. One being about the hotel that they're at, but it also goes into the ending of the movie where we're introduced. Well, we've seen early in the film with the Salvala character, the head of the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
With the certain like weapon at the end.
Yeah.
That's another connection to why this movie's called Byzantium.
Yeah.
Without going too much into it.
Well, it was like a really powerful empire, wasn't it? Like really brutal and powerful empire. Yeah. So.
But I love this one for what it is. It's a different take on the vampire film, which I think a lot of people should check out. So I'm with Moods, 9 out of 10. Love it.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I think that the period piece stuff mixed with the current life stuff is very well mixed. I love the period piece stuff. I particularly am more interested in the mother's story than the daughter's story. She just, to me, honestly, she came off kind of whiny. I'm like, dude, your mother's life was way harder than yours. What are you bitching about? And, you know, that kind of...
Well, she didn't know her mother was fucking alive either.
Well, yeah, but she tells the story, so she eventually finds out. Right?
True.
Like, she's the one telling the story about what happened to her mother and stuff like that, so she eventually finds out. For the most part, I think there was something missing in there, but...
Well, actually, the only part missing that she didn't know about was when the part where Clara actually talks to the teacher character.
Yeah.
That's the only part of the story that Eleanor didn't know.
Yeah, but her mother saved her life, you know, and her mother, you know, tried to give her a better life at first, you know. So I think that the girl was quite a like ungrateful person. So I like the mother more. That doesn't hurt my enjoyment of the movie just because I like one character over the other. But I felt like that the movie kind of tried to make her a little sympathetic too, but it just didn't quite work for me. It's still very solid. I wasn't crazy about the way that the mountain did the stuff. It didn't even look good. Like if it would have looked good, maybe I would have accepted it, but it didn't even look good. And that's probably my biggest negative. Other than that, I think this is a really good modern vampire film. Good vampire film in general. Definitely one of the better modern ones that I've ever seen. But I think that there are a lot of damn good vampire films. Like I'm actually a pretty big fan of a lot of the vampire movies. I'm coming in at 8 out of 10 on this one.
Cool. Good stuff.
Also, it makes me want, like, when we do our 76 show, like, I'm almost hoping we pull one of those, like, 2005 to, like, 2012 years. Because, like, there's so many good movies in those years. I've been watching a ton of good ones lately from, like, 2010 and 12. 2010 and 12, great years.
And the fucking prep for those ones is going to be a little heightened, you know, compared to, like, 76 and shit, right?
Yeah, right.
A lot more. I mean, every year, you know, the higher the year goes, man, the more films. Like,
unless you're in the 90s, it's actually less than the 80s.
Yeah, the 90s was a disaster.
22 shots.
Moving along here into the year 2014 with a film called The Canal, directed by Ivan Kavanagh. I'm
not even gonna try
it. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that dude's name at all, so we're just not gonna attempt it. So The Canal. Synopsis: a depressed and stressed film archivist finds his sanity crumbling after he is given an old 60mm film reel with footage from a horrific murder that occurred in the early 1900s.
Now, I'm curious, just before we get into it here, does anybody remember what year this would have actually been eligible for our lists?
I think 2015.
Was it 15?
Well, let me look at the DVD release.
Well, just because I don't remember, did you guys watch it during the year that it was eligible?
When did I review this movie on the show? Like I talked about
it in 2015.
So I think that's when it came out then, because I'm pretty sure it was just newly out.
Yeah. Okay. So 15 was a very heavy hitter year. So
yeah.
Yeah, you reviewed it on episode 43.
Yeah, so that's pretty old. It's almost 100 episodes ago. Holy shit, man, that's crazy. Yeah, man, The Canal. Man, I don't even remember what I even had it rated on the show or anything. It's crazy. So The Canal follows, our main character David, who is again the film archivist. And what happens is, this movie is very reminiscent of Sinister.
Dude, I totally had a Sinister vibe in this film.
Yeah, it's kind of the same deal,
a little different though.
Yeah, definitely different, but
it's definitely different.
So David is a film archivist, and he's just doing his job one day. He's just, his assistant is, putting films on and stuff, and they're doing his job. He's going through these films, watching them and shit. And he notices in this one particular one, I think it was from like 1902, that right away he notices this house is in this, and it's actually a video or a film of this murder that had taken place inside his house and shit. So he later goes home and he tells his wife, he's like, man, like pretty fucked up thing happened at work today. Like I'm watching this film and there's murders happening in this house and shit. And she's like, oh, that's crazy. And then so right after he confides that to his wife, he finds out that his wife is actually cheating on him.
Yeah.
Like right away. So like all this crazy shit's just happening to him like instantly. And I don't know if it's actually stated in the film, but they've been in the house. They didn't just move in. They've actually been in the house for a few years, and they never knew any of this.
I believe it actually 5 years passed since they moved in.
Yeah. So they've been in this house for 5 years and they didn't know any of this. And it turns out that, David's wife is actually cheating on him. So he kind of follows her one night. Something happens and she ends up going missing. Later on, we find out that she's actually dead. So
yeah. So I remember when I was watching this, I had an idea of how the film was going to play out. It didn't happen exactly how I expected, but I totally was getting like a mix between like Sinister and like a non-Hellraiser sequel that Pinhead was like sprinkled in. I was like somebody could if they replace all the supernatural stuff with Pinhead in this movie, it totally would have fit in with one of the Hellraiser sequels.
That's funny, actually.
True.
But yeah, so first of all, I actually really like this movie. Like, I don't know what you guys feel about
this. This was actually my first time watching this one.
Oh, is it really? Crazy.
Mine too.
This is the only one I didn't rewatch.
So I actually really like the setup to this one. This guy, witnesses his wife having sex with another man, and instantly goes into like.
Oh,
rage.
I would have been fucking killed him there. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I don't know how, because there's actually a scene where he literally sees his wife being pounded by this guy, and he's like standing, kind of on the opposite side of the room, and he picks up a hammer, and he essentially doesn't do what most people would do,
Yeah.
So I would do it.
To have that restraint is just fucking insane.
Well, it's funny because like. I think that you get a different perspective from different people. Because, like, me, not being in a serious relationship, like, I think it would be kind of, like, not a big deal to not kill somebody when you see that. But that's just me because, like, I don't have those feelings that some of you guys that are in long-term relationships have. But to me, I'm like, definitely don't kill him, dude. Like, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Yeah.
You see, I would, man, because like I've been with my wife since 2004. It's been 14 fucking years, and if something was going, that's it.
Plus when you have a son involved, it gets even worse because then it gets fucking dirty on that end too.
Yeah, see, I just as me, I'm like, I value my life and like I don't care. I, like whatever, do your thing. I'm gonna go. I'm better than this. Like I'll find somebody cooler than you. But that's just me.
I think that actually builds into his character too because he does restrain himself.
Yeah, and I loved this. One of my favorite things in these type of movies is when a detective shows up and believes that the lead character has killed the wife. and they're trying to like not do anything, and it's awesome because this guy does have a secret that he's withholding from them, so he is technically lying to them, which adds like another level to this thing, because it's like, well, I can't tell him this because then they're going to even suspect me more, so I can't tell him the truth.
Yeah, he can't
because
tell
he was
them.
there that night, but he didn't.
That's what he can't. He can't tell the cop that he actually saw them, because that just makes him prime suspect number one. But yeah, I love that too. That the cop right away is making him prime suspect number one.
There's actually a great line of dialogue because the cop tells him that the wife was cheating on him, so he has to play it like he didn't know. And then the cop asks, "Hey, did you kill your wife?" And he's like, "Hey, are you asking the other guy if he killed her?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, he has a sound tight alibi." And he's like, "The reason that we always ask the husband is because it's always the husband." I was like, "Oh shit!"
That's actually true, though, man. That's actually true.
Is.
So
it is often the husband.
I really enjoy the detective character, even though he's not really in the film. But when he is, it's actually the actor is Steve Oram, who played in Sightseers. That's the one film I know him from.
Oh,
you ever see that?
Dude. When I was rewatching, I couldn't remember where I'd seen him from. Man, that movie Sightseers is fucking hilarious. He's so good in that movie, man. Like that movie. Oh, I think JP would even appreciate that. That's some dark ass fucking comedy right there. Yeah, it's brutal. It's good shit. Yeah. So
yeah, he was in the Dark Song. That was the latest one that he was in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remembered him from that. But
he's the only actor that I recognize from. Yeah. Well, besides the Claire character, his coworker there. I recognize her from. I can't remember what I recognize her from, but she has that look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So this movie, at first, I was like, I really love the setup, and then once we started seeing like the supernatural part of the movie, I was like kind of turned off. Where I was like, I don't really like where this is going. Well, but then it saved itself in the end, where I actually really like where it went. Yeah. So I think this one was kind of a roller coaster for me. I was really into it, then I wasn't, then I really was again.
It's an interesting film because it's one of those psychological films where, it's either a supernatural film, right? We're actually dealing with like demons, or it's all on him, and we're actually seeing his downfall. Right.
Yeah.
So
this one kind of does something different than both of those.
Yeah.
In the end, like what you're told, at least how I took it, is that it's almost, without spoiling anything, it's those things, but not quite. So I thought that was kind of a refreshing take on this type of psychological movie, where it's either usually it's in their head or it's supernatural. I thought it was a nice little.
There's a lot of good scenes too that really kind of twist it up too, like the scene where he's watching the footage with his partner there, and then we get another view of it, and it kind of plays out a little bit different and shit. Like this one really fucks with you quite a bit, and I still think that the whole ride right to the end is insane, but then there's a scene in the very last shot in this film has to be the most ambiguous mind fuck ever. It's so ambiguous. Because if they don't put that last shot in the scene, they just end the film where, before that scene kind of thing. It's still ambiguous, I guess, in a sense, but what do you make of the very last scene in this film?
I'm trying to think what is it in the car?
No, it's back in the house with the realtor.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
So I'm just saying, if the film if it doesn't show that scene right there, the ending is still kind of ambiguous because there's really, it's open for interpretation essentially, but you can go either way, right? You can probably interpret it to the point where, okay, that's what happened. It was this way, but when once you've made up your mind, they throw this little curveball in there, and what the fuck?
Oh, this movie definitively has a ending and what really happened. Like, I can say that without. I'm trying not to spoil it, but yeah, it's not up for interpretation. This movie.
You don't think so?
This ending, no, it's not. And there's a few reasons why that I can't really say because it will spoil the hell out of the movie. But yeah, there's definitely a set ending and what happened and what's real and what's not, and all that stuff falls in line with this film.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's open for interpretation a little bit. I think it's pretty ambiguous, to be honest. But
maybe you missed something that I might have caught or something like that. But we'd have to talk about that off air. But one thing that I want to point out is there was a couple scenes at the end of this movie that actually scared me. I was like, holy shit, like this movie just got really creepy all of a sudden. And one of them involves a terrifying birthing stillborn scene, which I was just like, what the fuck? It's just like crazy.
Black mud and shit. It was like,
yeah,
shit.
Yeah, dude, when he's in the water and he's having these visions of his fucking dead wife giving birth to this like demon baby.
Oh,
like,
dude, it was so disturbing.
Yeah,
they actually show the vagina and the baby coming out of it.
I know. I was like,
yeah, it's totally out of left field too. Like it's totally because the movie's not like that up until that point at all.
Yeah, I was like, holy hell!
It's very
this
subtle.
Shit got dark.
It's very atmospheric, and it just kind of throws you this scene. It's pretty crazy, actually. Yeah.
And then the scene right before the car scene at the end, that was creepy as well. I'll tell you what, I came up an entire point in the final act of this movie, and the final like 3 scenes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of creepy scenes throughout this, man. The one scene in this film that actually it still got to me again, and I think it's because I had a very similar moment happen to me in my life when I was a kid. But it's the scene where he's standing in downstairs and there's no one there, and he can hear the footsteps upstairs. And just the way it's shot and the way it sounds, it's fucking creepy to me because he kind of stops. And he's like, "What the fuck is that?" And you can kind of hear these footsteps, and like,
I love them.
I don't know. There's something so damn creepy about that. Like just the way they shot that, that's fucking awesome. There's a few scenes like that in the film that are like legitimately really good, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's actually hard to do. It's hard to scare these.
I always
dudes.
love the scene with the fucking the flour, and then the cop comes the next day and he's like, "What are you trying to bake a cake or something?"
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But I like a lot of the set pieces to this one. Like the canal itself is very cool.
Yeah.
The public restrooms are very gross and remind me of like Candyman or something like that.
Is that shit for real? Like those type of fucking bathrooms just exist in the middle of like almost nowhere. You know?
It's funny that you asked that because I don't know what it's like in there, but we do have a few of those type of like rest stations like
that look like that. Yeah.
It just seems like if you go in there,
public restrooms.
It just seems to me if you go in a place like that, you're never coming back out.
Like, did you ever see the movie Rest Stop?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know how that's just like a restroom there?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like we have those sometimes.
Huh.
Like
yeah, there's places like that around
like,
Boston.
I mean, I'm sure we do too. But that one just seems like it's in the middle of butt fuck nowhere. You know, it's like this.
Well, I mean, you
canal.
also have like one theater in your area, so I doubt they'll build a bunch of rest stop restrooms.
But like, what the fuck is? I mean, you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's like a channel, like a canal right there. What do you need a bathroom for? Just whip it out and fucking piss in the field or some shit, man.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, maybe it's more for the people that like maybe that like is there like a job at that canal or something.
Yeah, you don't get arrested. I don't know how the rules are if you get caught.
It is odd placement, I guess. There's just a random bathroom, but we don't really know the story of that little area either.
But it makes for a cool set piece. Oh, it's really creepy, man.
Yeah,
really actually. And there's a scene where he's kind of having a vision or nightmare or whatever you want to put it. And he sees this fucking face kind of creep up over the stall on him. That shit is fucking creepy as fuck, man. I don't know what it is about that scene, dude, but that shit, it literally gave me goosebumps, man. I was like, holy fuck. I don't know. I think it's just the fact that like being in a stall and then having someone kind of creeping on you like that, it's unsettling, man. I don't know.
And even like the little kid, his son there, he wasn't like annoying, like an annoying actor, you know what I mean?
No, his performance was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It was actually really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no, Babadook.
Mom.
Yeah. I don't mind the kid from the Babadook because he was supposed to be annoying.
Yeah,
he did a good job.
He grew.
There was actually an Irish film that came out this year that I was actually going to go to a screening of called The Lodgers. I never got to it.
I don't think I've heard of that one. Seriously.
So, we got anything else?
Nah, that's it.
It's another one that's hard to talk about because you just can't.
Yeah, you don't want to
away.
really give away.
Spoiler heavy.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like fuck. But who hasn't gone?
I'll go first. Yeah, this is the first time watch for me. I really like the psychological aspect of this one. It builds off the David character very well, and just the way that it goes, because you never know. Like, it's kind of one of those movies where you think it's going to go one way, and then you're glad it doesn't, without going too well into it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Without spoiling too much. And I'm glad it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. You know what I mean? And the ending I really did enjoy. You know, like the aspects of the supernatural stuff, some of it was kind of hokey, especially like, you know, kind of like the paranormal activity flower stuff, you know, and fucking, but it kind of builds well with this type of movie too, kind of, because it is a psychological movie. So it kind of has like that J-horror vibe in some scenes, which I know maybe might be JP's problem with it, if that makes sense.
The what?
You know, like the supernatural stuff's kind of like J-horror, especially the scene.
No, I didn't have a problem with it at all.
Oh, like
Really?
in the film footage when they're kind of they see the old lady standing in the field and shit.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that is actually very J-horror influence right there.
Especially the way that the character's hair is and stuff.
Yeah,
kind of makes
sure.
sense. Yeah, so it kind of has that vibe. So I really like that stuff for what it is. So, what do I rate this film? I loved it. 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, high praise. Yeah, so this movie for me, I really, really liked. I actually liked it more than all the other films that we reviewed. And like just looking at some of the Irish films, I actually seen a little bit more than I thought I had, because some films I didn't know were Irish, like Stitches, and I Am Not a Serial Killer, and Dark Song. This is probably one of my more favorites. And speaking of which, man, I had a hard time remembering what titles we were reviewing this time.
Yeah,
I watched all three of them it's Sunday now, so from Saturday to Sunday, I watched all three of these. I kept thinking it was The Hollow. I kept thinking it was Citadel. Like, all the titles just, like, I thought The Canal was doing Citadel. For some reason, I still feel like we were doing Citadel. Like, I swear to God, somebody said Citadel at one point. But it also hurts because I think Moods, when we initially came up with the concept for this, we were going to pick the other two films, and I think he had mentioned a couple. So that's why it kind of stuck in my memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the only one I didn't need help with was Byzantium, because I knew that one we were doing. But let us praise the good one. Anyway, I'm sure we could do a couple more volumes of this for sure, because
there's a
Killing
lot
of a Sacred Deer.
Plus, there seems to be like one maybe coming out every year, so
yeah, dude, like Grabbers, The Hollow, fucking Let Us Pray. There's been a lot of good ones recently, man. From the Dark, From the Dark was really good.
The only two that I've seen that I wasn't crazy about is Rawhead Rex and Shrooms.
Shrooms grew on me. It took like a second watch.
I loved Shrooms the first time I watched it.
I liked it the first time I seen it, and I haven't liked it the other two times I've seen it.
I haven't watched it in years. It's been so long.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm coming in high on this one because I really did like it. Not as high as Derek, but I was at about a 7.5, and then by the end I was like, oh, I got to give it credit for those couple things in the end because they were awesome, especially the car scene. Like, yes. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, the car scene is probably something you didn't see coming.
Oh, I didn't.
I know. I love this movie, man. It's probably one of the only films of recent memory to actually creep me out a few times. Like, legitimately, like, oh fuck, man. Like, I don't know. I watched this movie super late too. Maybe that helped. I don't know.
Yeah, that helped me too. Like, it was
I did as well.
Yeah, man, it does it, man. It's a good film. It's very, very atmospheric. It's shot well. I love the locations. The whole structure of this film is just fantastic to me. I think it's got great pacing to it. It's intriguing, because it's like a mind fuck, psychological. I think it's really great, man, all the way around. 9 out of 10. I'm coming in at 9.
Sweet. I'm actually surprised I came in the lowest because I thought I loved this movie. And Moods, in fact, you came up many points from your first watch.
Yeah.
Because your first watch was a 7.5, I think.
Damn. Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Hey, I didn't give it a 10, so I'm getting better at reviewing movies. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, you gave it a 7.5 on episode 43, which was almost 100 episodes ago. So, I mean, second watch is definitely helped. But I'll tell you right now, if I had seen this for 2014 or 2015, debatable which year it came out, it most likely would have made my list on both years. So that's saying something. And just looking at the lists in general, they would be completely reworked right now. My feelings have changed a lot on some of these films.
Yeah, that happens with rewatches, man,
Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, the whole point of the list is like, this is what we feel right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it's kind of cool. Like, I've often thought, like, if we should just leave those lists permanently like that, or we should ever do like an updated version. I don't know. I'm still kind of torn on the idea. I kind of
maybe in a few more years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe a 10-year anniversary of 2013. We'll do a 2023. We'll do a revisionist history.
Well, all these lists have changed so much. Like even 1968 has changed. I've seen a couple films even from then.
1968 has changed for me. Yeah, pretty much. I think every list here has changed in some form or another. Like I know for a fact, 2002, I most definitely would have had Dahmer at like my number. Actually, you know what? Frailty wouldn't even be on there because that's a 2001 film, and it was everybody's number 2 and my number 1, and it shouldn't even count.
Yeah, that was very, very seldomly do we fuck up with shit like that.
We've only fucked up twice.
Yeah, I mean, 131. Yeah, it's pretty rare.
But
Definitely rare.
So. But the Canal is really good. I definitely recommend checking out if you haven't. All 3 of these films are very solid, very, very solid Irish films. All 3 of these films I would put in my collection. I do own a handful of Irish films, but I don't own any of these. I'm gonna pick them up when I get a chance, as long as they're not out of print or expensive or anything like that. But I mean, this was a fun show. I'm glad we did it, and I definitely think that next year around this time we could do a volume 2.
Definitely.
Yep. Sounds
but
good
it
to
does
me, man.
seem like it seems like this month we barely ever do a show for like during. I was looking at the history.
This is
like
actually
the Throwback Thursday thing.
This is actually funny because this is actually kind of my brainchild because I ran this idea of I was thinking the moods like, guys never do anything for St. Patty's Day.
No, we never have, and we've had shows planned. Like we had.
Shit came up one year.
We had Leprechaun Origins planned 2 different times to cover that. And then we were thinking about doing Red Clover once. And I know for a fact that at least 2 years in a row, we didn't do a show on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
like
weird.
they would post the week of St. Patrick's Day.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So this is really in our 5-year run of the show.
It's another neglected holiday though. There's not that many St. Patty's like based horror films.
Well, besides Muck, but that sucked.
It's really kind of strange that there isn't more. You think it's like Valentine's Day. Like how in the fuck is there not more films based on Valentine's Day? It's like a perfect day.
I know. I'm actually shocked.
I know it's crazy, man. I mean, we have hundreds of Christmas horror. Halloween, of course, but these other smaller holidays are totally neglected.
Yeah, you never know.
Actually, you know what, dude?
What's up?
Leprechaun came out on St. Patrick's Day. We actually did do one. Our episode 13.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was our only St. Patrick's Day episode, I think.
Shit. Here you go.
That's old school.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I guess that is going to conclude episode 131 here on the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror Podcast. Jeremy, no, I'm just joking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, that's Derek. Once again, thank you for coming back to the show. It's always a pleasure having you on here.
No problem. Like I said, whenever you guys need an extra hand, I know Jeremy's usually sometimes busy, so I don't mind coming on it because this is like my second home, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, he's not even busy. He's just somewhere bitching about something.
He probably didn't even work. He's probably looking at fucking sales and shit.
Everything I've read in our fucking group chat recently is just him bitching about something. Just like, fucking Jeremy, Jesus Christ, never stops.
That's I was like, dude, I know people that work on barges for 14 days in a row. Each time they work, 14 days on, 7 days off, and they bitch less than you. And these are cold ass barges.
Yeah. He's just turning into fucking more from fucking Family.
He was working a 12-day job or something. And he's like, this is killing me. I'm like, dude, these guys sleep on the barge.
Come fucking do my job. Come pack out some paint, buddy.
Oh fuck, dude, man. Try being a boilermaker, man. My dad he'd tell me stories where he'd work they'd work 120 days straight. 12, 14-hour days, 120 days straight. No days off. You go in there, you work, get it done, and you're out. Isn't that fucked? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's in fucking
yeah,
insane.
But anyways, like I said, always pleasure to come on the show whenever you guys need me, whenever I have time. But as always, I do have my other show to run, which kind of want to just name drop our next episode that's coming up.
No, you're not allowed.
Why?
Just fucking with you, man. Drop that shit.
Well, next episode is going to be our creature feature special, which was originally supposed to be in fucking October with the original fucking variation of this, but we actually added a film to it, so it's going to be even better. And better because we have the creature feature teacher on now, Matt, so it's going to be awesome. We're doing Humanoids from the Deep, Chud, and fuck, I forgot the other film. Oh, The Prophecy, the fucking mutant beer one.
I love Humanoids from the Deep, man. It's a very rapey film.
Yeah, it's The Shape of the Water of the 80s.
Yeah, that's good shit. All right, cool. Man. Cool. JP, you want to take us out of here then?
Yeah, if you guys would be so kind, make sure you check out the Patreon. Patreon.com/22 Shots Podcast. If you ever want us to cover something, that's how to do it. And I'm just going to throw this out here now. Our schedule tends to dip in the summer a little bit, so chances are that we might scale back the amount of tiers, the amount of available tiers that there are. Because I think right now there's like 2 for featured reviews. That would probably drop down to 1. As well as like the trilogy thing. We haven't worked out the details yet, but now's the time to get
worst comes to worst. I could always like say mine.
Well, we wouldn't want people to pay for stuff that we're not going to deliver in a timely manner. So we would just change it and lower the amount because we'd probably be doing less shows. But yeah, so just keep that in mind that now's our prime season. Well, not our prime season, that's usually October-ish area, but right now we have a lot of free reign on what we want to do, so keep that in mind that it's probably going to change in the future. So if you have something you really want us to cover, like the Carrie franchise,
Stephen King Carrie,
I was actually very happy that Stepfather won in that poll because I didn't want to do the Reanimator trilogy.
I didn't even realize that poll was for an actual episode.
Yeah,
I had no idea because I actually even voted. I didn't realize.
Yeah, we actually somebody was charged twice for the Hellraiser show.
Yeah,
the guy who ordered the Hellraiser show was charged twice, so we threw him an additional trilogy to pick, along with a commentary. Just because I felt so bad because it was like that's a lot of money to just take again,
Yeah.
And even though like it wasn't us who did that, like he had to have if you don't want it charged again, you have to change your Patreon thing.
Yeah.
But so he said he would just let the group decide out of a few on what we wanted to do. So so that's how the Stepfather show came about, which I'm excited for. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. And besides that, the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/22 Shots podcast. Awesome group. Check it out. We have a blast there every day. Our YouTube channels, DBouget 32, Mid 616, Double Shot J for me. And I've been doing a ton of videos lately. I hope you guys definitely check them out because I'm having fun doing YouTube again. And the Horror Man's back.
Don't check it. Don't check out his fight. He doesn't watch anybody else's except for.
Yeah, I do. I watch the Horror Man's. I watch Derek's.
He commented.
I watched Jay and Jerry's. I commented on one of Derek's the other day. Yeah, I watched.
You watched the Derek video. You don't even watch mine.
You put out too long of updates, man.
Oh yeah, and you're fucking 75 fucking minutes. I haven't even posted an update. And how, dude? Actually, speaking of that, man, I was gonna record mine tomorrow. It's gonna be stupid.
I watched your Valentine's Day top 10.
Oh yeah, you know what? Fuck yeah! So last Tuesday, I still have the stack of movies sitting in front of me here, but I went to go record a top 10 Tuesday. Totally didn't do it.
Well, just chop it in half and do a top 5 Friday.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking do this video. I might record it tomorrow. Gotta edit the show now. Fuck.
So, check Twitter, all the good stuff. Emails 22shotsmoodsandhorror@gmail.com. Voicemail lines open. I don't know when nobody's called, so yeah.
I think it's time for Brando to make a guest appearance.
No.
Well, it's not Brando. Yeah.
All right, but that's it. That's it. Check out our letterbox too, because we have. I love letterbox. I'm kind of a fan of it now. It's kind of my thing.
By the way, Moose, when did you ever copyright the question mark on letterbox?
How did I what?
Jeremy.
Oh, just the question mark? Yeah, I don't know. I just put the question mark there until after the show comes out, and then I'll put the ratings on.
I did that before.
Oh, did you?
What? No, you did. No, you didn't.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
I am pretty sure that Mood started that.
Oh, really? I have no idea. My letterboxing was my 2 words and then my rating, and if I didn't want to reveal my ratings, I just put a question mark. I don't know. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, I basically will reveal ratings to things that we're not covering in featured reviews. Featured reviews, I'll just wait till after we're done, and then I'll put them up.
I actually have Death Wish on here, but I have a question mark next to it because it's going to be...
Yeah.
Hopefully I remember the goddamn film by next weekend.
Well, okay, so next week, guys, we're either doing a Eli Roth Spotlight, which will include Green Inferno, not Cabin Fever, because that'll be a separate show, and then Knock Knock, as well as the new Death Wish film. Yes, Death Wish is not a horror film per se, obviously. I guess the original was like a revenge film. There's an original franchise. I'm actually going to make it my goal to watch the original Death Wish before I go see this new one, which I do own on DVD now. I actually own 4 Death Wish films, actually, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so that we're doing an Eli Roth Spotlight or The Strangers 1 and 2. Most likely it'll be Eli Roth because we don't think that Moods is getting The Strangers, but me and Jeremy will both have watched The Strangers by then, so it'll probably pop up in what we watch for Strangers 2.
Sweet.
Nice.
Good shit, man.
Peace.
Let's get the fuck out of here. Deuces.
Peace.
Aaron Gobrack.
What do you have to do?
Somebody needs some piss to pass the drug test.
My buddy fucking messaged me up tonight, and he's like, yo, man, can you do me a favor? I'm like, what? He's like, yo, man, my buddy needs some clean piss. Do you want to help him out tomorrow? I'm like, what the fuck? Are you serious?
I've done that many times.
I'm like, I guess. I'm like, yeah, I got no problem with that, I guess. Fuck. I've never been asked for my piss before.
Dude, I have. Piss away. My piss is not clean
several times.
Now, so don't ask.
Yeah, I don't do drugs, so I'm clean.
Marijuana.
I really don't do drugs either. Anymore.
You said you smoked weed like 2 nights ago.
Yeah, but I don't.
But that was then.
So now,
Listen, I was like last. I think it was like It was 2016, like the fall of 2016. I was smoking weed like every day because I was talking to Dave about it a little bit. Because is Dave still smoking heavy?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, like I haven't smoked in the longest time, or whatever." So my grandma smokes weed like all the time. So
Medical?
I was like, "What's that?"
Is it medical or?
I got
No,
glaucoma
it's
or
just
something.
it's just weed. She's always smoked weed my whole life. I usually buy it for her because she doesn't have any connects. But I was like, hey, maybe I'll start, smoking this. I never liked it that much because I always would get paranoid. So I always like never smoked weed growing up. Like even when I was like a teenager, like I would kind of avoid weed. And I was like, maybe I should try it now that I'm an adult. And like I was like, I'll just smoke a little bit of it so it doesn't fuck me up. And I did, and I was like, oh, like this is fine. And I started smoking it before I went to work. Started smoking it after I got off work. I started smoking it before I went to my second job, and then it was cool. And I was like,
what's your second job?
I was working at the other hotel. I think I told you guys a while ago, back in like 2016, towards the end of the year. I was working at the other hotel that my company built, and I was getting it ready. It was just a temporary thing, but it was nice extra money for a little bit. But so I was doing that, and I was driving home and shit. I was like, felt like the man. I was like, always wondered how these fuckers can smoke weed and go through life normally. And I could never do that. If I smoked weed, I would be grounded on a couch for fucking 3 hours, and I'd be paranoid that the police were coming or something. And all of a sudden I felt good, and I was like, dude, I'm awesome. I can smoke weed now. Movies are more interesting, all this good stuff. And then I was like, because I was only hitting a little bit. Like I was just put a tip of it in the cigarette or so, like empty a little bit of the cigarette out and put some in the tip. And then I was like, my grandma had a bowl.
Just a tip.
my grandma had a bowl, and I was like, let me hit that. And I hit it, and then I went and drove somewhere, and then all of a sudden it fucking hit me. I was like, oh my God, this is why I don't smoke weed. I was so paranoid. I didn't know where I was. Like, I knew where I was, but I kept second guessing myself. I was like, that it's a straightaway. It's a straight line to where I was going. But I kept thinking I went off on a turn or something. I didn't know where I was. And I'm sitting there freaking out, and I'm like, I just got to get home. And it was all because I wasn't really getting that high because I was only hitting a little tiny bit. But I thought I just built up a tolerance to it to where I was like, oh, must be what normal people feel like when they get high because they're so used to it. But no, it wasn't. It's just I wasn't getting high that much. And then I was like, fuck, I'm done. And I didn't smoke until yesterday. And that was like over a year. I don't know how people do that shit all the time.
It's easy.
You smoke, Derek?
On and off.
What about Andy?
No, man. I have that same problem you do. I get way too paranoid.
See? I fucking can't do it, man. I freak out.
The best moment of my weed smoking fucking days is when I used to watch Bush speeches stoned. Because he's just a goofy motherfucker.
That would just fuck me up.
I'm the exact same way, man. I stopped smoking weed when I was like 20. I'm a paranoid fucking wreck, man. I can't do anything, dude. I smoke and I'm like fucking smoky on that angel dust and shit, dude.
In the chicken coop.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's me right there.
The two times I tried it, it made my anxiety like way worse. Like I ended up in the corner crying.
Oh my God, dude. Fuck. You're killing me over here.
I never smoked anything in my life, so I wouldn't know.
Brandon?
What's that, Zach?
I don't
You're
smoke.
killing me over here. Fucking Sam, stop it.
I used to.
That's crazy. It actually made your anxiety worse, eh?
You used to smoke weed, Brandon?
Yeah.
If you guys watch my frogs review on YouTube, I was fucking stoned out of my mind during that review.
I remember you told me that, Derek. I laughed.
Why did you stop smoking, Brandon?
I would roll joints in my videos. And
I got real sick.
Sick?
Yeah.
My buddy Matt, who texted me today, he smokes weed all day, every day. And he's always the same.
Like that,
he's always the same. Like you don't even. It's fucked. Like he just functions completely normal.
That's why I take a break because I want to
I
get
can't do it, man. I don't know how fuckers function normal, dude. I like seriously get so fucking. Oh my god! Like last night, I was like, I started watching Food of the Gods. I was like, I can't fucking watch this, and I had to watch like Casino because it was like happier.
You should watch Frogs. Frogs.
Casino's happier.
You Jew. I don't know. Not really, but it was like
Jew motherfucker. You.
I started thinking of. I don't know. Like it's fucking weird, man. It's like, it's funny sometimes.
You're thinking fucking Joe. You made me fucking take your eye
Joe
off that
Pesci makes me laugh. I
What
guess
about-
that's what.